Starting this one off strong, huh? Welcome in, everybody. If you can see me. Thank you for the beans and cheese time, Spencer. How's it going? Welcome in, Oshik. How's everybody doing? Oh boy. Now we gotta wait. It's cheesing. It possibly mayhaps be cheesing right now. It's pretty insane. Oh man. By the way, Spencer, I did like a thorough look through the Minecraft document. I can talk about it on stream if you want before we start on stuff, if that's fine with you. Epic. Yeah, I wrote down a couple different ideas and stuff that I had. And just general comments on things. I'll wait for the cheese time to end. Hard to focus. We'll get there eventually. Gone, cheese time. Gone. Oh boy. There we go. There we go. Okay. But yeah, anyways, welcome in, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. I'm going to talk about the Minecraft stuff though. Yeah, I read through all of it. I think it's pretty epic. I do like a lot of the ideas that you had in there. The vibe it kind of gives me is like, right now Minecraft is like a really weird mix of semi-realistic stuff and also semi-magic stuff. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they don't take a very strong stance on either side of it. But I like how a lot of the ideas and concepts of what you wrote down was kind of like solidifying the differences between the two. Where like, okay, obsidian and all this stuff is clearly like magical, and there is definitely magic stuff. And then also just on the other side, like making things more, just make more sense, more logical, more like real, I guess, if that makes sense, right? So I really like that. I think that's a cool, like, that split I think is actually kind of a nice thing. One game that kind of does that is, I see a lot of similarities between the ideas and Vintage Story. Because it's got kind of a similar thing where there's like all this magical stuff and there's like a magic dimension you can go to or whatever or something. But at the same time, it's a very realism focused game. And there's a lot of things in that I think, yeah, are pretty cool. So yeah, I like all the stuff in there. Yeah, you should definitely give it a try. It's fun. It is really hard, but I like how like, you can almost just play through the game and just kind of just know how to do things just with your own knowledge. Like, it doesn't really feel like how Minecraft is, where it would be like an impossible jump from like stuff. Like, if you didn't look up any tutorials or anything, you'd have no idea how to get to the Nether, how to kill the Ender Dragon. It's just so arbitrary. But in Vintage Story, like, all the things that you do feel very logical. So yeah, definitely give it a try. I think it's pretty epic. But I wrote down some other things too. I like the idea of like the XP orbs being like the energy of the world. I think that's cool. And then you can like center a lot of mechanics around that too. I don't know how I feel about villagers trading iron armor, because to be honest, at that point when you kill the Ender Dragon, you're either going to already have iron or diamond. So it seems a little underwhelming, especially since you mentioned making villages like way further away. So I would probably say maybe trade something better than iron, like diamond armor. Because even then you might already have diamond armor at that point, but you'll definitely have iron before you kill the Ender Dragon. So it seems I don't see the point of selling iron. Let's see. And then for the structures, I do really like the idea of like the world changing after events happen. I think that's epic. So I would probably say we'd have to do like initially deactivated structures Because you can't, like, I think it's bad if, hey, Bug Snatcher, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. How's it going? We're just talking about Minecraft real quick, and then we'll get into the lured-in development stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Terraria kind of does that, where you have, like, the desert temple and stuff, or, like, even in the jungle, the jungle temple, I guess is what it's called. But it just kind of sits there in pre-hard mode, and then after hard mode, it becomes accessible. So I think that would be the way to kind of implement a mechanic like that, of things changing. Also, the material, like, sequence you've got, I think is fine. It goes from, like, whatever, wood, copper, iron, steel, diamond. I was thinking maybe, like, because, like, really iron is not a good material for making armor. You don't make, in real life, you don't make armor out of iron. Because it's super brittle. So I was thinking, like, really, if you look at history, like, alloying is a really big thing. Like, typically we went from, like, bronze into steel armor, right? So I don't know, you could maybe think about that, like doing alloys instead of, because that's basically what steel is. It's already an alloy. So you could do, like, bronze instead of iron. Might just be kind of a neat way to change up the progression a little bit. Just an idea. Like, you generate structures and chunks that were not modified by the player. Maybe. I just don't know if there's, like, an easy way to do that or not, to be honest. I'll get into another concern I have later on with this, but yeah, it would probably be easier just to pre-generate all the structures and just have them everywhere, and then once the world changes, they, like, become activated. I think that'd be the easiest. With the copper chest, I think it'd be cool if it has more space. That would be epic. Also, like, for crafting better tools, you mentioned, like, iron rods. It would be pretty nice. I think it would make a lot of sense if better tools required, like, iron rods for the handle instead of wood. Just as a little difference, it makes it feel like tools are more, I don't know, important. Yeah, I'm good. Headed home from work to play more Lured In. Let's go. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, awesome. We're going to be working on some more Lured In stuff today. We're going to add in, hopefully, the fish encyclopedia, just so you can see what fish exist and where they are and stuff like that, weather patterns. We'll start working on that. I've already done a bunch of stuff, so I'll show that off here in just a second. Let's see, what else did I put here? Yeah, bosses only being available in phases is another really cool thing. I like that concept a lot. And then I kind of, let's see, let me start with this one. I was also thinking for recipes, one thing that's always really difficult with early versions of Minecraft is knowing how to craft things. And I don't like the wiki game syndrome of having to look up how to do anything. So I was thinking, like, maybe if you could find, like, little scrolls that show you how to craft things just around in different loot tables, that could be kind of neat. You could just randomly find, like, something in a dungeon that's like, hey, this is how you craft an anvil or something. And it might not even necessarily say what the item is, but just have a little diagram of the crafting table, and it just shows, like, a block that gets outputted. I think it'd be kind of a fun way, because you can start collecting all these recipes and learn in, like, an intentional, organic way on how to craft things instead of just pulling up a wiki on the side. So that's something that maybe could be neat. And then into the more crazy stuff. What do you think about removing durability? This is just a wild idea. There's a game I played, Alumeria, that does not have durability. And it's kind of neat. And there's a lot of games that do that, like Terraria does the same thing, for example. I know it's a pretty big change, but I think, yeah, like tools that just don't break. I know and this is just an idea. It's not saying, I don't even know if this is a thing we should do or anything, but it might make it feel more meaningful to craft a tool and enchant it and, like, actually work toward making an important piece of equipment. Because I think one of the problems right now is durability for me in Minecraft is just a pure annoyance, where it's kind of like, I don't know, once you get the materials to craft one of those tools, you're never gonna, like, run out again. So durability just seems like just a way to ruin all the time and effort you put into enchanting stuff, if that makes sense. I don't know, just a wild idea. I just want you to kind of stew on it. You don't have to even have an opinion on that right now, but just throwing it out there. But yeah, and then like having class types would be kind of neat because Terraria does that. I think it would fit really well with this. We could have like, you know, melee, regular armor set, and then maybe even like alternative armor sets specializing in like magic and ranged. I think that would be kind of neat, but again, just another idea. And I can like write all this out, send it to you if you want to just have like a, you know, instead of just on the stream. But yeah, those are the main things that I thought of while just reading through everything. Just wanted to write all that down and stuff, but it's pretty cool. I like the direction. Now, the only thing is that it's definitely, yeah, I'll definitely write them out. I guess my one big concern about this mod concept is the technical feasibility of it, right? Because like, I don't even know if Forge is for 1.0. I have no idea. They don't even have a version of Forge for 1.0, which is problematic. Also, even if we had a version from back then, it's like 14 years old, so it's going to be extremely outdated, and it's probably going to run bad and be very janky, and there's not going to be any modern documentation, and you know. So I don't know, that's my only concern. It could potentially be problematic. Yeah, I use newest version and strip features. That would probably be better, I think, yeah. Because trying to go backwards, I think, or like start from the beginning and build up is so much harder than just stripping things away. Okay. Yeah, part of me almost, and this is like a, obviously not the whole idea, but almost like part of me just thinks it would be easier just to make a game instead of a mod, you know? But of course that's, yeah, I'm not just throwing that out there, but no. I think if we use a newer version like NeoForge, it would probably be fine. But I don't know. It is an idea. Just throwing it out there. Anyways, but yeah, we can chat more about that. I'll write everything down and we can just talk on Discord about ideas and stuff. But anyways, sorry everybody for the super long tangent at the beginning. Just wanted to go over that stuff. But anyways, we're gonna work on Lured In now. Oh, I shot my pie again. I made a daily word puzzle game in this thing. Yeah, you're talking. I'd be down to try it if you want to send it to me, sure. But yeah, so Lured In. I just added in a new track my brother just made. You can just send it to me on Discord. Unless you have like a link for it or something, and you can just send it in chat. So these are a couple things we've already done. We've got a bunch of new gameplay options now, which will be really nice, and I'm gonna go over what those are and what they do and stuff here in just a second. And then just minor stuff. So let's talk about the new gameplay options, because I think they're gonna really help a lot of people. And it gives you much more control over like the way you play the game. So let's go. Pixel. I can try this out. Okay. Hold on. I gotta go ahead and mute. Put this in this tab so I can mute it. It's way too loud. Yeah, it'd be definitely nice to have a volume slider. I didn't pay attention to the instructions. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. So I have all these L, N, K. I should have read the instructions. Let me refresh the page. Click on a letter on either side of the screen. Click an empty slot to fill in the missing words. Okay. So basically just Wordle with a time limit. Is there a way for me to know what the, like, is there hints or anything? So that turned red. I presume that means it's not supposed to go there. I guess, like, is there a way, how am I supposed to know? Is there any kind of hint system for where these letters are supposed to go? Okay, music. Is it just red? Is just, that's just normal? Because to me, when I see a red letter, it implies that I made a mistake. I don't know if that's true or not. It is really hard. This is the reason why Wordle does it the way it does, where you like submit and it shows the yellow letters because it gives you kind of a hint. Okay, I have to submit first. Okay. I have no idea. Also, something that would definitely be a good idea is make this all monospaced. Because the L, like the N, it looks almost like there should be like two letters here. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, there's one letter here, 2 letters. So definitely that would be a good thing, and make all these the same width. Also, the background, it's cool, but it's sometimes it's, well, yeah, you just have to use a monospace font. That's what you need to do. The background's like, it looks like an optical illusion or something, where it's like the letters, everything's moving to the bottom right. I don't know how I feel about that. Definitely you should have an options menu to disable that. I really don't know what to do here. Because there's no, like, I guess I'll just put random stuff in and see what happens. But there's no, like, end, so I don't know what to do. It ends with a K? Honestly, I wish I could just, like, I don't know, I could hit on one of these and just press the letter on my keyboard. A word relating to music. So this needs to be leading with a 0. I'm not really sure. Flute. Music. Genre. None of those have an N in the 4th spot. Like piano? That's probably what it is. Piano. And are these all, like, is this one phrase, or are these all separate words? Okay, let's go. So are these all separate words? 'Cause that's another thing that would be good to clarify for sure. Okay. I'd probably go a lot more specific with the categories. Like, instead of music, I would say musical instruments or something if you're doing that kind of thing. Because I think that would really help me understand or just fill in the blanks a lot better. Because there's another mini game, I think it's whatever the one is, the New York Times one, where you have to figure out the categories of words. So, but I don't even know what this next one would be. There's flute. What musical instrument? Yeah, replacing almost all categories. Yeah, I have no idea what ends with a K. Yeah, it's really hard to, like, think about what actually could work in these. Well, yeah, see, that's the thing too, is yeah, it is a bit too broad, I would say. I have no idea what goes here. There's a V. P. Yeah, because also the thing is, I don't think I would have gotten piano unless you said musical instruments, right? Mwak. And submitting that, I didn't get anything. So I don't know if I get to see, like, if I do this and I submit. It doesn't even let me submit for some reason. So does it have to be a valid word? All these mechanics and rules definitely need to be explained, I would say. But also, here's the thing, is it's really hard to come up with a word when you have... Is it supposed to submit? Okay, well then maybe the game is bugged. Yeah, I can't submit that. Yeah, it's a lot of work having to go up here and click the letter and then click down here. I think you should definitely make it so I can just click on this and then hit the, or hover over it and hit the key on my keyboard. And then if you have that letter, it brings it over. That would be way easier. Okay, I can submit that one. Okay, so yeah, I'm out of time. Okay, it was track and playback. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. And also the problem is I feel like I have to submit multiple times to figure out the letters. But whenever I do that, my time drops. So I feel like I don't really have time to think about what these letters might even be. And I'm kind of punished for experimenting, which is another thing. So yeah, it's definitely, I think there's a couple things that could be improved a little bit on this. But it's cool. I like the idea of a little like offline minigame thing. Can be very neat. I think it just needs some tweaks and like, yeah, I wasn't even able to submit on the middle one, so that's a little broken. Definitely categories need to be extremely specific if it's going to be, you know, if you don't get any hints or anything. So that's definitely a big thing, I would say. Yeah, pretty epic. I appreciate sending a link. Oh, let me turn out the music. Okay, so we're going to talk about the new options and learn in, everybody. I know it took so long to actually get started. I apologize. So first thing, we've got a new gameplay tab. I've moved some of the options into there, just the one. But this is going to be the area where you can actually kind of modify the game and tweak things to your liking. So I added in 2 new options. You're now able to disable the little like weight pop-up thing when you're fishing. So if we go into an area and start fishing, you'll see it'll just completely skip that sequence and will just immediately say go. So if you don't really care for the weight thing or it keeps confusing you, then I've just made the ability to turn it off. And then the other thing you can see is there's no time limit. So that's the other option, is now you can disable the time limits on all the minigames. Because I think that's probably one of the most common pieces of feedback I've gotten, is that sometimes the minigames are too hard and it's like very difficult to finish it or figure it out the first like go around. So for people that do have issues with that, you can turn off the time limit and just kind of think about it for a little bit. And I think that'll really help make it significantly easier. And also just so you can kind of relax a little bit more and you're not pressured to do things fast. You can take as much time as you need. So hopefully that'll be a good thing. Yeah, we've got that. I do want to keep continuing to add in options like that, and I think it'll really help. Oh, I failed. Yeah, that's implemented. We're also going to do, oh, right, I'm making 50 cents a minute. I've got a bunch of things in here that I want to do. Fishing hotspots would be really cool. I definitely want to, that's what we're going to be working on today, is like the encyclopedia, so you can see where the fish are and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of things to do. Hopefully we'll get to a bunch of them. So typing, fixing, submit. More specific categories, settings for volume and background. Specify. Okay. So yeah, you're saying for typing, fixing, submit, yeah. And also let me be able to type in the letters. Yeah, more specific categories for sure. Definitely a settings option. Yeah, specify words are separate. Yeah, all those things I think will really help. So, all right. So let's see here. We need to think about where the encyclopedia menu is going to be accessible from. Because there's a lot of different ways we could go about this. I kind of want to avoid adding another button to the bottom because it gets to a point where it's just the text gets too long. I wonder if we even hit that with a normal font. No, so it doesn't happen with that. But it's, yeah, I'd like to figure out where we're going to put this. I could have a new tab inside of the travel menu that shows your encyclopedia there. I don't know if that's really the right spot to put it. There is also inventory. We could have another tab in the inventory that goes to the encyclopedia. That's yet another option. I don't know, any of these in particular sounding interesting or preferred? Like we've got tab and a menu that already exists, like the inventory or the travel menu. I could potentially try and make it a separate button, but I think the problem with doing that, again, like I said, is it squishes the text here and that might cut off inventory. And then the other big problem is on controller, it'd be a little weird if like you're hitting your... So on controller, you navigate through these menus with your trigger buttons here, or your bumpers or whatever. It would be really confusing if I put like a little icon here because you'd hit the bumper and then it would go up instead of to the right, and I'm not sure about that. So Gabby, welcome in on YouTube. It's going pretty good. We're just working on Lured In right now. We're about to add in a encyclopedia menu. Maybe put research as a clickable object in the building. Yeah, I mean, I could see doing that. It's possible. I'm not sure how I feel about it, though. I don't want too many things to be just a clickable element in here, if that makes sense. It's fine for a couple things, like definitely character customization, just because your character is right there, and like it fits. And like the tip jar really doesn't do anything mechanically, so it makes sense to just make that a like a little building you can click on over here. But research definitely is an important mechanic. I would be worried about people missing research or not realizing they can click on it. When you buy a fish tank for the first time, it doesn't have algae, but you then ascend and buy it, it will have algae. Interesting. Yeah, thank you for letting me know about that. That's not supposed to happen. So I'll write that down, get that fixed. Things should not start with algae on ascension. Yeah, I'll just have to, I just need to reset the time of the remaining algae or whatever. Let's see, the reasons for responding about this late, I got distracted. Nah, no worries. I didn't make specific categories as I was worried it would be too easy. But I realized it was only fair because I knew all the words. Yeah, because the thing is people playing your game, Bobby, will be going into it with no idea what the categories are. They won't have any context for what the words even could be. So yeah, I always would say err on the side of too easy. If it is too easy for some people, then you can add in a separate mode to make it harder. But yeah, definitely go on the easier side of things. I feel like the encyclopedia would make sense in the inventory. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning toward a little bit right now, I would say. Just because that is like the spot where your fish go into, and it's kind of a good, like, you know, the section where the fish are. That's definitely an option. Kind of missed the upgrades for the tanks at the start. Yeah, I do need to make sure that it's obvious you can click on these. I might make it so when you first buy a tank initially during the tutorial, the tank will like have the exclamation mark above it and start like flashing, just so it's kind of more obvious that you can actually click on it. Because I kind of established that in the very beginning, because when Grandpa walks in, he has the exclamation mark above his head. And so I think as a player, it's pretty obvious that like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go hover over him and see what's up. And then you realize, oh yeah, I can click on him and do stuff with him. So I think applying that same concept to the fish tank would make a lot of sense. Just because then it's like, oh yeah, must be an interactable thing since there's the exclamation mark above it. And I could even like make it do the shine effect like the buttons do and stuff like that. So I think that'd be a good option. I'll write that down. Make new fish tank start with animation icon and glow. Yeah, I think adding exclamation marks would help. Didn't realize upgrades were a thing until the first ascension. Yeah. No, it is easy to miss for sure, so I want to avoid that from being a problem. Hopefully once you're in here, it's pretty clear that these tabs here are a thing. I think it should be, but I might potentially also highlight certain tabs too. We'll see about that. Let's clean this tank. Okay. I don't know if it's already planned, but upgrades to the building would be really cool. You could put research in there. Yeah, that's something that I really want to do. Little sneak peek. I did draw like a whole layout of like a more finalized shop at one point. I think I have it on my desktop, but I don't remember. Let me search for it here really quick. Let me sort by type. Those are all gifts. Here it is. So I kind of just drafted this up one night. Just because I mean, the shop layout right now is a little underwhelming because it's just a blob. It's not very interesting. It doesn't really feel like a real building. So I was thinking about maybe something sort of like this. So you'd have like this initial like starting area, and this would be the first like segment that you get unlocked in your aquarium. And then all of these other rooms down here, these are all things that can be like incrementally unlocked, right? So you start with like this, then you unlock all of this area in here, like this room in here. And then you can like get all these other things separately. So you get research and the merchandise shop, food court, bathroom. These would all be kind of open up new mechanics also. You can place down like one of those big, huge tanks with like the glass walls. I think that'd be neat for larger fish. And potentially like tide pool tanks like these, they'd be more for things like crabs and creatures that are better viewed top down. So I've been thinking about doing this. This is one of the next big things we'll be working on for sure. It is just a lot of work because I have to completely change the layout of everything and set it up so that each like segment gets created step by step. But I do think it'd be kind of neat. Yeah, and then it would just move the tanks that you already have into here. Might add a door for research here too, just so that like you can get that before you get this stuff over here. That's cool. An outside place would also be cool. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, I could potentially do something like that. I'm trying to think, like, I've been doing a lot of like, you know, research on aquarium layouts and stuff. I kind of base this around building layout. I found one layout on here somewhere that it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. And sort of based it around that. I think it was this one because I liked some of the ideas in here. Like having a little like just all these different areas, bathroom area, entrances. I know this is like an elevator up to like another level, but like it kind of makes sense as like a big glass tank. Yeah, gift shop, stuff like that. There's a lot of different ways that you could do it, but Yeah, and having like an outside area could definitely be neat. I'm sure some aquariums probably have that. Not sure. Is this? Oh no, that's 2 point. But yeah, like really big aquariums probably do, where you have like orcas and stuff outside, and really huge tanks. I could see doing something like that maybe. Giant ocean tank. It's a lot of ideas. Yeah, you should fix. Okay, you should fix in the general and Discord. Yeah, you can take a look at that. Awesome, nice. Yeah, I appreciate this. Yeah, it fades away instead of just vanishing. Research Ascension, that's definitely underway. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize he was clipping. I can definitely do that. Yeah, this is hopefully what we're going to work on today, is like a big index of all the fish. We were just talking about where to put that button. Yeah, special fish, ponds, sea reeds. Yeah, I definitely would love to do a lot of these things. Yeah, there's another really good point here, having like ultra rare fish species, so like you can get something crazy from the pond, so it still kind of stays relevant. I would like to do that. Doing something like this would be maybe something we could do. Technically speaking, it might be a little tricky. Like making fish tanks using the same kind of mechanics as decorations. I'd have to think about how I would do that. So maybe eventually, but it's tricky. Game crash if you change the type of water directly after removing all the fish that was in the tank. That's interesting. So are you specifically saying removing in the sense of like returning to inventory like that and then changing the type? We can give that a try. Here, let me unlock all this. Okay, that definitely is probably a bug here I can fix. Let me try it out. So if you have fish inside the tank, let's try it out. You remove it, and then you go into here and change the type. Oh yeah, it does definitely crash. So I appreciate that report. We can fix this really easily. So all this is doing right here. Okay, it's just checking. Oh yeah, so I just have to say if instance valid fish, then we queue free, and that should fix it. So let's give that a try. So if I change this back into a freshwater tank, so if I remove him and then change, there we go. So yeah, that fixes it. I appreciate that. Let me write that down. Where removing fish from a tank and then changing type caused game to crash. Yeah, if anybody runs into weird bugs and stuff like that, definitely let me know. And try and keep track of like the specific sequence that you did in order to cause it to happen, because that's really important. Okay. Oh yeah, being able to drag like NPCs to the top. I'll probably make it just so there's like a little bit of a limit, so you can't put them past this area. And then so just so you can't put people into here, because it's a little weird being able to do that. I think that should be a pretty easy thing to do. Let's go into the code of where you drop NPCs. So that's on release, and right here I'm checking if position, if target is reachable. I'm going to say this or global position dot y is greater than or less than a certain value. So we can go look at what that height is right there. So if we go into the aquarium, so that is going to be at around minus 64. So back into here, less than minus 64. All right, so now with that implemented, if you try and drop them into the entrance, it should just poof them out of existence. Okay. So if I put him in there, he's gone now. All right, so I will write that down. No longer drop customers inside of the entrance. Then let's see, this other bug here you mentioned, when you try and catch a fish, you just reeled in and don't get. When you start fishing again, a bit of the text reappears and fades away. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. So the little like text that appears, I presume if you do that during, like, is that while the wait text is visible? Let's turn that on. If I start fishing and then wait for the wait text and reel in. And then start again. Okay. Yeah, we'll try with that. It might be right after the go text appears. I didn't want to win this minigame. Let's let that go through. So it could be, yeah, like it says go, there's a period in there when you're able to reel in and catch a fish. It could be right after that. It's after the go, okay. So right there probably, and then if I cast again, yeah, there it is. Okay, so we should be able to fix that. Let's go into here. We have that particle emitter, this text right here, emitting. So all I should need to do is just restart the particles. If I go into here. Okay, so I'm emitting it here. So I want this text to reset as soon as we start casting again. So as soon as we press our cast button right here, we're going to start casting. And I think I can just reset the particle emitter. We'll see if that works or not. Let's see here. Okay, let's give this a try. So I need to fix the minigame not appearing. You mean when you reel in right after the go text is visible? Okay, pull that in and then... Oh, it shows up over there. That's a little broken. Oh, now it just shows every single time. Yeah, this is something that's a little annoying about how particle emitters work. So that actually is sort of intentional behavior. The way that that's set up is you have like a specific time frame to reel in whenever it says go. And if you miss that time frame, then you don't get to catch the fish anymore. So I think the fix to that is just explaining that a little bit better through visuals. I'll probably make it so the go text is only visible when it's in that period where you can catch the fish. So I think that's what I'm gonna have to do here anyway, since the issue here is I can't like restart, I can't clear the particle emitter. So I'm just gonna change this to show a little text bubble above there. I think this will be better. So on the bobber, I'm gonna give this a sprite. This is gonna have the go text. And it's just gonna kind of hang above. I don't know where these particle emitters start. Starts at -10. This should be fine. Get rid of that. So I'm going to stop this particle emitter from working. Okay. So now what we're going to do is go into process, calculate casting. And I want to know if we are currently in the bite period. And then we have that inside of action just pressed. Right here. Okay. Broadcast, biting. Yeah, sync available is what I want to know. So if that is available, we're going to do a thing right here. And this is going to modify the text here. So I'm just going to have this kind of rotate a little bit, I think. We'll do sign range. I'll have it rotate just a very small amount to start. About like 200. We'll see what that looks like. So now what this should do is the text will no longer do that weird thing where it reappears after you cast again. And then the second that your time frame to catch the fish is gone, the text will go away. So I think it'll help explain that there is like a specific... Ignore that that's visible right now. We're going to fix that. Okay, we're going to say set upgrade. Upgrade dot improved bait. Give that a try. So now when you're in that period, it starts rotating. So next thing, we're gonna modify its visibility. So from that dot A to 0, and we're gonna say like delta times 10 or something. And this one I want it to appear very quickly. It's going to go up to 1. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Yeah, so that's better. So now if we cast, it'll show wait, and that appears only for the time which you can actually catch it, and then it's gone. So I think that's better. Okay. Then also in addition to doing rotation, I can also do scale. Really happy are you with the playtest so far? Yeah, it's gone pretty well. It's been really great to get all the feedback and stuff from people. Seems like overall, most people have had a good time with the game so far, which is great. So I'd say overall, it's been pretty successful. Yeah, get some good feedback. I'm definitely glad I did the forum. It's just nice to have a spot where everybody can leave all their you know, things they like and dislike and any bugs. Discord is easier to navigate to and read, but the forums are still definitely very helpful for me. See, vector 2. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this on a range. Oh yeah, I'm not lerping this. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do this. Vector 2.1 times. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen any content creation stuff yet. That is something I'm gonna have to kind of work toward. I'll probably reach out to some content creators and stuff at some point. Because it's definitely... That's a pretty important thing. In terms of being successful and getting wish lists and stuff like that. So I'll have to look into that. Yeah, that's much better with the text, I think. Cool. All right, so let's go mark that down. It's an issue where the go text would reappear after casting. Go text to scale in size, rotate, and disappear. Oops. More quickly. Yo, Lemur, welcome in. Thank you for the cheese time and the speen. How's it going? Alright, so we got that worked out. Yeah, there should be all the bugs that you listed in there. So I really appreciate all those. Those will all be fixed for the next update. Hopefully we'll get the next update up pretty soon. Yeah. Yeah, welcome in. Lemur, we're just working on Alert In right now. Going pretty good. So that should all be good. Okay, so next thing, let's get started on this encyclopedia. Oh yeah, fish food appearing in the... totally forgot about that one. Yeah, that is something I do want to fix. I'm just not 100% sure on how yet. But I've been trying to figure that out. I actually do have one idea that we can try right now. I don't know if it'll actually work, but I'm curious to see what happens. So whenever we start emitting these, I'm going to go ahead and set their visibility to true. I don't know if making a particle emitter invisible does anything. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll try it. So fishfood.play, that's the sound. Yeah, it's an activate flakes here. So let's go down into the tank menu. Where is that under? I thought it was in here. Oh, here it is. Right? Okay, let's search for it. Activate flakes. It is in here. So it's going to do that. We're also going to say who.visible is true. Now here's what we're going to try here is I'm just going to make those particles invisible when you swap to another menu. I don't know if that's going to work like how I think it will, but I'm definitely curious to see what happens. So we're going to say sub viewport dot cursor. I think that's what I want here. Visible is false. And then also the sparkles. Go up into here. Set that visibility to false. So let's see what happens with this. I have no idea. I'm going to turn on skip main menu. Okay, so let's get 2 tanks in here. So if and let's also go research this. Might crash my game if I don't have the valid reference to it. Oh, that actually does fix it, which is pretty epic. Cool. And then if I go ahead and also do another bug that can happen, let's do algae 0. If I clean in here and those little like sparkle particles appear, you can see them in another tank also. So let's see. Yeah, so that also fixes that. Cool. So that's actually an easy way to fix it. Yeah, so I guess setting it to visible false and then, yeah, and then I'll just make it visible again after. That should work okay. Hopefully. The only thing that's possible, let me double check on this because this might be a problem. But if you like feed a tank and then feed another one instantly, you might see the particles. So here, let's do whatever food boost 0. So if I feed here and then feed here too, no. So that's actually very fascinating. So I think setting visibility to false on a particle emitter clears the particles, which is actually a really good thing to know. Because otherwise we would have seen those other ones once it set it to visible again. So yeah, very cool. I have to remember that. All right, we got that fixed. Where you could see sparkle and food particles in other tanks when swapping between them quickly. Okay. Nice. Cool. So that now should be all your bugs fixed. Yeah, definitely let me know if you run into any others. I really appreciate it. And yeah, really any issue that anybody notices, feel completely free to report it. Because the thing is with bugs is like, odds are you're not the only person running into it. So never just like, whatever, tell yourself, this is probably just some random thing that doesn't matter. Because if one person's running into it, there's probably many, many people that are having the same issue, so. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess let's dive into the encyclopedia menu now. We'll go ahead and just make the menu and then figure out where we want to put it. I could definitely see doing, well, I guess let's make the button first, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to test. Hopefully we'll be able to get this working in time before the end of stream. I think we will. So, inventory, solid option. I don't really want another button down here, so I think we hold off on that. Part of me is considering moving Ascension into a tab instead of the research menu, but I don't know how I feel about that either yet. Not sure. Have I done software development for game dev? I have. Well, technically speaking, I started learning programming with game development. So that was the very first thing I ever did in terms of programming. But yeah, I've done software development stuff all throughout school. You know, I've gotten my computer science degree in university. So that was primarily focused on software development specifically and not game development. But I haven't ever done software development in industry. I have used other engines. I used to use GameMaker for a long time, but I stopped using GameMaker because there's a lot of limitations with that engine that I just kept running into. Like, especially with like just the way they calculate delta time, and physics was a nightmare trying to do that in GameMaker. Just a bad time. And also it doesn't really have very good 3D support, so that's another reason that I was kind of like, this is not a good engine to learn long term. And then what was the hardest mental transition going from software dev to game dev or another game engine to Godot? Well, with game development, for me, it was kind of like the opposite, where going from game development to software development stuff was kind of, I don't know, a little disappointing, I guess. I really like how with game development, everything that you program is there and tangible and visible. Like, I think it's so much more fun for me creating worlds and mechanics that I get to interact with. Because with software development, you're usually kind of just a cog in the machine. Like, you might be a front-end dev and you get to see things visually, but a lot of the times it's just like back-end work, just trying to make things process and happen, and it's very it's a non-visual medium. So I don't really like that aspect of software development, and to me that was kind of like, this is gonna kind of suck. I definitely enjoy the visual things, the tangible things. And then from another engine to Godot, it honestly wasn't that bad, which was great. I think the idea of trying to learn another engine is so much more daunting than actually doing it, in my opinion. Because I was like, man, I know Godot is probably better and has better features, but it's like, do I really want to learn this whole new engine? It's going to take me forever to get used to it. And so that was the hardest, just overcoming that initial obstacle. But honestly, everything after that was really easy. Godot is a pretty intuitive engine to learn, in my opinion. I think the node system is really not that bad. You've just got to mess around with it for a couple days, and you really start to understand it a lot better. So, and yeah, I very much enjoyed Godot. But I'd choose Godot over Unity. There's a lot of reasons for that. First off, Unity is a private company, which means they can just change the rules and licenses on their engine whenever they feel like it, and then you get screwed over as a developer. Because that already happened multiple times. They did the whole thing where they introduced the runtime fee, so they basically charge the developer every time people open the game, which is just stupid and ridiculous. Because, like, what about free-to-play games, right? What if somebody opens up Fortnite and then, obviously that's Unreal Engine, but just the concept of it, you open up a free game and then the developer gets charged just to launch the game. That's really dumb. So that was the big reason, because Unity can just screw you over whenever they feel like it. That's why I love Godot, because it's open source and completely free. It's MIT license, which means you can just like fork Godot and just keep it, and you can do whatever you want to Godot. You can modify it, you can branch it. So there's never going to be anything like that ever happens. It's impossible, just because of the nature of how Godot is made, for changes like that to happen. It's always going to be completely free. There's no fees you ever have to pay. So that's a big thing. And also, I like how lightweight Godot is. Unity, for me, took a really long time to like open up the game in the project and compile code. I would have to sit there for like 5 minutes sometimes and just wait. And it's like, man, this is really terrible. But Godot is great. I mean, you can see if I close the game, right, and I click play, it's like a couple seconds and then boom, the window's open and I'm in the game and I can test things. So it's really great. It's so much faster than Unity is. And just for that reason alone, Godot to me is awesome. Going through it right now. I've been out of game dev for years, switched to Linux, and finally going through a Udemy tutorial for Godot. Nice, yeah. Godot, I think, is a very fantastic engine. So yeah, I hope that goes well for you. Yeah, I've done a little bit of 3D in Godot and lots of 2D. I think both are very excellent. I'm excited to keep using this engine for all my games in the future. So thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Because yeah, it's just a good engine. Solid. It runs really well. People that worry about performance or complain about it being slow are just not optimizing at all. They're probably loading in like super high resolution assets, you know, images or whatever, or not compressing things. And that's the only reason you'd ever have like major performance issues. There's always a way around performance problems. Performance to me is like a nothing. It's not really a factor in choosing an engine, because it's the code that you write is really the only thing that matters. The engine itself, any engine can run super fast. Unreal, Unity, GameMaker, Godot, they can all get 1 billion FPS. So you just have to optimize your game a little bit. So that's why checking the profiler is important. You know, I can run this and then I get a big overview here of everything in my game and how long they're taking, right? So you can look at this and instantly see like, okay, I can pause this and like look at a frame here. My global UI process is a little slow. Now, this is not, I'm not going to spend my time optimizing this because it's not even hitting 1 millisecond. You can see that we're getting right now, while streaming, I'm getting 360 FPS, which is just fine. That's more than, as long as we're hitting at least like 120, that's the point where I'm completely fine with the performance of the game. So there's really no need to optimize right now. You should only really optimize if you actually are having real performance issues, and I'm just not, so. Of course, it's really easy to optimize a game like Lurden because it's a little tiny 2D game. It's a lot harder to do that with 3D because that involves more difficult tasks like simplifying geometry and render distances and stuff like that. But for Lurden, it's just a matter of cleaning up my scripts and making sure I'm not doing anything too slow. But yeah. Let's work on this encyclopedia. I think for now, just so I can get this menu implemented, we can always move where the button to access it is later. But I'm probably going to put it inside of the inventory here, just another tab. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Yeah, because otherwise I just don't know where else I would put it. I mean, travel menu, maybe, but I'm not sure. Feels better in the inventory, I feel like. So let's go ahead and get that set up. So we're going to go into the inventory menu, and we're going to put all of these nodes now underneath a child container. I do have a couple things in here that I have references to that I'm going to have to fix. So we had an ad starting in just a minute here. My apologies, everybody. So I'm getting a reference to the scroll container right here, and that I need to change. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Item scroll container. This is going to be a type of scroll container. Oh, and that's actually... Okay, no, that is... Yeah, so we're good there. So let's get a reference to that, like that. Now here I can just say scroll container. And now I can move these nodes around wherever I want without any issues. Okay, so panel container up there, that's going to go underneath. We're going to add in a tab container. That's going to go above the panel container here. We're going to add in some tabs. So how do I want to do this? Usually I just do a big panel. That's a pretty easy way to do it. Then we can call this like fish. Then add another panel for, you know, our menu. This is going to be like what? What are we calling this menu? I've got to figure that out. There's a lot of different names we could do. We could do encyclopedia. Let's write down some options. I'm gonna open up a thesaurus. So we got almanac, encyclopedia, bestiary. What are some other options? An almanac, though, usually is like for the year, which technically does sort of make sense since these fish are going to be, their catches are going to be dependent upon the weather. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, Pokedex for fish. That's another option. The fish dex. I don't know what dex like means. I have to figure out what that is. Dex meaning. No, that's not what it is. Yeah, I'm trying to think how that is. It's like, it must be some like variant of like database or something. Dex. Oh, index, duh. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. What are other options we got here? Bestiary is typically for mythical fantasy stuff, so I don't know if that name really makes sense since none of this is like that. I think the river is too easy to get. There's really no reason to go to the lake after one trip. Yeah, because then you have the river. That's fair. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback. Is it specifically like research wise or cost wise to go to the river? Because those are kind of two separate like progression gates. Because I think it costs 1,000 to go to the river for the research. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely up that. Yeah, I have felt that a little bit. Like sometimes it is a bit easy. So I'll definitely do that. Okay, so I'm gonna mark off ones that just don't really make any sense. Bestiary, it's fine if this is like some fantasy game, but it's not, so it doesn't make any sense. We've got like encyclopedia. I mean, it's fine. Encyclopedia basically is just a book of facts. Almanac, it's fine, but the definition here, it's more for like information about a specific year. So I don't know if that's quite what I'd want to use here. It makes a lot of sense. Like one game that does this is Plants vs. Zombies, but it's kind of like, it makes sense there because it's like a list of seeds. So it's an almanac because, you know, what year are you planting seeds at? This is like a real thing. Right. Like if I look up almanac, I'm sure like, yeah, Farmer's Almanac. So that's, I think it makes more sense for planting crops, but not really for fish. What it's called in Dredge? That is a good question. I'm actually not sure. Fish Encyclopedia. It might just be called Fish? We could load up Dredge. I do have the game and see. Because, yeah, that is a good question. Well, this is spoiling the game. Let's not do that. Should I just pop open Dredge super quick? Here, let's do it. Because now I'm curious. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I played. I need to play again. It's a pretty cool game. I need to get through like the new zones. I think I just went to the mangrove area. I need to go to the like lava zone. All right, let's go see what it's called. Okay, it's not in there. Forgot to play this game. Tab. You have like a book in here. Okay, it's just called Encyclopedia. That's kind of the name I was leaning toward initially, because it just makes the most sense. Okay. We'll keep thinking about it. I haven't barely discovered any fish so far, which is pretty crazy. There's still 151. Yeah, fish decks would be okay. I guess I can save. I didn't do anything. Okay, but here's one problem with fish decks is translation. Because it makes sense for English, but I don't know if it translates to other languages very well, which would be my only concern. Okay, so we're going to get rid of Almanac. I think I am leaning toward Encyclopedia just because it's like... it makes the most sense. We could even change it to be like Fishpedia or something. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Just because it's a little bit of a shorter word. There's really similar. You should take inspiration. Yeah, it's definitely I think they do a lot of really good things in Dredge, just in terms of game design. So it's definitely like a good example to look at. I have no idea what Pokedex and Check is. Yeah. I don't know if it'll have like a... I do wonder... I might do like Fishpedia because I think it's... it takes the good parts about Encyclopedia, but it's a little bit shorter. It's not this like massive word. So that's probably what we're going to do here. Oh yeah, this is Pokédex. Okay. That word is probably so like widespread that it doesn't even have like a... It's just... That's just the word, you know? Okay, so we can move this into fish now. Oh, and this has to be a panel container specifically. And same with Fishpedia. Okay, so now inside of... Oh, does the tab container already have a... Yeah, I think I want to make that invisible. I'm not sure how to do that. That was visible. Might just be a thing. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out. Well, let's see. What is this in anyways? This is going to be a V-box, so I might as well just call it that. Or make it that. Then I can move the panel zone into there. So this is what the fish menu looks like, which is good. That's what I want it to look like. I don't like how that is, though, where it's got, like, double panel containers here. Wonder if that is a thing I can do. I might have done... I could go into here, into styles, and actually make the panel container here an empty panel, like that. And that would work okay, because then I can... Yeah, I don't have to have another panel in the background, so we'll do that. Okay, but then this other one can be a panel container. Yeah, that would be fun. All right, so now we're just going to make this other panel zone stretch vertically. We'll make the V-box do that. Which it should be. Oh, it's the tab container. That's not. Okay. So we'll go to layout, expand vertical, and there we go. And I think that's already expanding. Cool. Hey, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I didn't realize just how well Godot runs thousands of bullets and still runs well on a 5.5. Yeah, that's the thing. It's more performant than people think it is. It does run really well. Where is this text? Oh, it's like a completely separate label. Okay, so this is going to have to be a child of one of these nodes now for sure. There's a panel container. I'll probably just put it as a child of that. And then for layout, it's already on shrink center. It doesn't seem like it's in the center. Oh, that's why. Right? No, it's not why. I don't know if I can do... No stretch ratioing. Can't do a pivot. Okay. So I might have to add some tabs like that. I mean, that's fine. Alright, so we gotta get a new reference to that node now. That's fine. I'm just gonna call this bar no fish label. And, oops, add on ready. Got some of my 3D games to run smoothly on the Pi, yeah. It's a pretty nice little piece of hardware for sure. It's impressive how much you can actually do with it. All right, so now we have this in a whole new tab here. We'll have to implement the same code that we do with all the other menus, like the upgrade menu, for example, or the shop. Let's go into here. So we're just going to copy this code and throw this in here. That's grabbing the tab container. It's the same reference, so we should be good. Let's go ahead and try this out. People are just complaining that they cannot make a MMORPG with no optimizations, AAA graphics. Yeah, I know. That's really what it is. I think it's definitely a feasible thing. Why did that menu pop up? That was a little weird. Might have to fix that. All right, so now inside of inventory, we got the normal inventory, and then you can go to the Fishpedia over here. Epic. Let's make sure it works in controller. Let's wait for that to turn on. Road to Vostok, Smith the Godot? Yeah, I did that short on Road to Vostok because it's really epic. Yeah, it's a really good example of how good things can look in there. Hey, Nick Jack, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome in. You subscribed for 21 months. Let's go. Thank you very much. Let's activate the confetti. Because my overlay is a little broken. But we'll fix it. Yeah, how's it going? Welcome in. How have things been doing? We're just working on Luridan right now. What was I just about to do? Oh yeah, I have to make it so I can't select these nodes. I think I can just set this to, yeah, tab focus mode to none. So we go back into our inventory menu. We can just select that here. We'll set this mode to excuse me, to none. Godot 4.6, does it also not let you drag and drop files into folders anymore? Like you can still drag and drop, but they won't go into the folder you drop them into. Yeah, so what it does now is if you're clicking and dragging something in here, how it used to be is that like it only goes into what you have actively selected. So if you like select on icons and then drag a thing in, no matter where you put it in here, it's going to go into icons. But finally, it took them forever, but it'll actually go into the position you drop it in. So now if I like drag an image in here and I put it on icons, it'll go into whatever folder I'm selecting, which is great. I don't know why it worked that other way before. It was always really annoying. Pretty good. Been busy with school and some other stuff. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, hopefully that's going well. 4.6 doesn't? I do not think that's true. We'll test it right now. So if I grab a heart and go put it into scenes, right? Now we go look at where the heart is. It went into scenes. So it goes into the position that I'm hovering over. And I'm on the newest Godot, so I don't know what you mean. 4.5. Yeah, I didn't have anything selected. Because that's the whole idea. I mean, I can select music and then we'll do the test again and put this into Krita instead. So now you can see it's inside of Krita instead of music. It used to work the other way in 4.5 where it would only go into what you have selected. So yeah, that's pretty weird if that's happening for you. I don't know why. All right, so let's see if this works in here now. I'm gonna make it so that feedback thing stops appearing when you're not in the main menu. Yeah, so now I can hit tab to change these, but I can't use the D-pad, which is good. That's intentional. All right. So that's working pretty well. Now we can just fill out this section with all of the fish. So let's work on that next. So I'm going to give that a different background, so it's in line with the other one. I can set the theme to, I think it's panel container 2. Nope, it's got to be 3. There it is. I just like this one for the contrast. Now we got to think about how this is going to kind of be formatted. So we could have like a big massive grid or something where you just scroll down and it shows all the different fish. I kind of want to avoid doing like pages, I think, just because I think it's easier to scroll down than it is to have to change a page. Infinite scroll is always much easier. So I think what we could do is have like, we kind of dynamically generate this. So let's give this a scroll container in here. Boom. Follow focus. And then we can add in like, I think the vibe, what we would do here is like, we'd have like a texture in here of the fish. So like boom or whatever. And then beneath like each like category of fish, we'd have another horizontal separator here. So something kind of like this. Then this would extend across the whole thing. So let's do that. Ignore that this fish is super squash. It's going to be like a bunch of little like buttons you can click on. So that's one option of how we can format this. We have like sections and then a big line, and then it goes to the next like category of fish. Because we probably start with like freshwater and then into saltwater kind of thing. And then I think what we're going to do is whenever you select on one of these fish, it like opens a little panel on the side or something like that. So I might actually kind of separate this menu into 2 sides. So on one side, we'll have the scroll container, and then we have the little info side. So we'd have something kind of like this. So HBox, this is going to be expand. This one will be on expand. So we'll probably just have a list of like two columns or whatever, I imagine. And then over here is the info about these fish, right? So we can also give this another separator, a vertical one. And that one we actually haven't set the visuals yet. Might need to go do that in the theme. So let's go do that. So we're just going to copy the style that I use on this one and then move it over to the other one, but tweak it a little bit. And then get our V separator, and we're going to paste as unique. That should work. There's also like a first catch mechanic plan that the fish will only be in there when they get caught the first time. Yeah, that's going to be the plan. They're going to be kind of like grayed out with a little lock icon on them. Then once you catch one of them, they become visible and you can see them in there and select on them, and it shows a bunch of information about them. So it still gives you like a chance to explore and discover. But it doesn't spoil the fun of finding new fish, because you still have to actually find them first before you know very much about them. So I think that's going to be the way to do it for sure. Let's expand margins. I'm going to do this instead now and set those to 0. All right, so we got the vertical separator. So yeah, over here, what we'll do is we'll have like an image of the fish up here. set this to keep aspect centered. Now we'll do like fit width and set this to the height that we want. Probably like 128 maximum. So that if we put a really tall fish in here or something, always just kind of display it the same size, relatively speaking. I think this should work. Sunfish. So even if there's like an enormous fish in here, it's not going to break our UI. We'll put a label underneath, and this will be the fish name. Epic fish. Probably actually make this a rich text label so I can like put the other information in here too. Bit content. I will say scroll active on this just in case. Hopefully that doesn't happen though. Alrighty. And I might put this guy in a little frame here. Can put another panel in here. Make this a container. Oops. Like that. I just like how that looks a little better. Oh yeah, also guys, I don't know if any of you have seen yet, but the new Godot version has something super cool. I gotta show you guys. It's pretty cool. Something that I wish was in the game for a long time. I'm a Big Boy Games fan, let's go. So, this is cool, but look at this. Maximum size. Finally. For anyone that doesn't know, all these control nodes for creating UI in Godot, you can set a minimum size here. That's how small they have to, or how big they have to be. But finally, in this next version, you're going to be able to set a maximum, which will be really cool. Because, like, for example, my inventory menu, you guys might not have seen it, but it just expanded a little bit by accident. And I don't want that to happen, right? So this is going to be a really good way to prevent that now. I'm pretty sure it expanded. Okay, I think it shrunk back down. But yeah, it's going to be very nice for creating UI. Because, man, that's always a very annoying thing. Okay, then this is going to be our scroll container. All the stuff in there. So the new feature above is epic for old style games. Yeah, definitely. This is going to be really cool too. You can finally turn off scaling for 3D viewports, which is really cool. You get to keep those nice crunchy pixels. So that's basically like a built-in pixelization filter, which is very convenient. So yeah, I'm excited for this new update. It's going to be really cool. Let's see, how much am I interested in exploring mobile port after release? I think it's really just going to depend on the financials, unfortunately. Because that's kind of the thing that's going to determine whether I can keep working on Lured In. I don't want it to be that way, but it's the fact of game development, right? So... But we'll see how things go. Hopefully the game does well and it's like worthwhile for me to spend the time on a mobile port. I don't think it'd be that bad to do a mobile version, especially if we just like lock it to horizontal format instead of bothering reformatting for vertical. Then I think it would probably be totally fine. Yeah, definitely could be cool. I'll keep doing my research on it, just the process of doing mobile, so I can figure out how. But yeah, it would be fun. I would love to have this on mobile. The thing is we definitely won't be able to do any, like, save transferring between mobile and PC, just because that requires servers, and I don't want to pay for servers. That's definitely outside of my, my range. So... that would be the one thing that we can't really do. but it's not a huge deal. Okay. So we're gonna throw an animated button in here. So I think how this is gonna work is like kind of like this. And these are gonna be set to not expand, but be a factor of the width of this UI. So this is 328. So these are gonna be like 328 divided by 2. So around 164. And they're going to be set to shrink. Kind of like it more on mobile. Yeah. No, I definitely, yeah, like I think it works really well for mobile for sure. I would love to. Hopefully everything goes well on full launch and it's something that we can realistically do. So, because yeah, it would be pretty cool. I would definitely love to. Okay, so what I'm thinking here, we can put all of this inside of a, what's it called? There was that one node that I used before and it was really useful. It wasn't an item list, but it was kind of similar to that. It was probably a type of container. Grid container, split container. Tab container. It wasn't foldable. I think it was flow container. Yeah. So we can just add this here, and then you can see when I put this in. So first off, let's expand it. Then now the nodes inside of here should wrap. So we can like make this, for example, expand horizontally, or even set like a minimum size on this. So now we put this below. We'll say alignment is center. Actually, no, yeah, we will do left. And then if I put a second button in here now, you can see what this looks like. Boom. And it'll just like arrange itself to the side like that. So that actually works really well. Now, there is still a pretty big gap here. I think I'm going to actually, though, change the distance between these two sides. So we're going to have this info panel take up a little bit more space. Just because I want there to be plenty of space for description and stuff in here and all the stats about the fish. So I don't know if we'll go any more than that. 1.6 does that. So we'll keep tweaking this until we find the magic value. All right, 1.52 it is. So that's just enough space for 2 columns. And then once you click on one of these, it'll fill out the info panel over here with like all the stats about the fish. So delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Very true, yeah. I think that's one of the big reasons I'm not doing mobile quite yet, right? It's because I think it's a lot to handle just with solo development, trying to do the PC version and also juggling mobile at the same time. It would definitely be a lot of work. So I think it's good to kind of focus on one platform and then eventually we can move to the next. Yeah, it would be really epic. I mean, someday I would love to. Hopefully we'll get there. Okay, so let's go ahead and save these now and stuff. Get the separator. We'll kind of dynamically add those in depending on the section, I think. So we're just going to call this like Fishpedia button. Delete the second one. Save this as a scene. Okay, save it in there. So now we'll delete that. And we're going to set up some code in here for the Fishpedia. Just inside of the inventory menu is probably easiest. So on ready, we're going to do the same thing here where we add all the panels in here. And I'm also going to add the buttons over to the other one too. So on this flow container, we're going to do that. I might start off by categorizing them depending on their liquid type. Or maybe just per region. But I'm not sure. The one thing though is that you can find multiple fish in multiple regions, the same fish. And I don't really want there to be like entries that... Yeah, I think that would be annoying. So I'll probably sort these guys. I don't know if I need to separate them on the left side. Yeah, I think we'll just skip that. So I'm just going to add them into a big list for now. We can organize them later if we think it's a good idea. This is fine for now. So now we're going to say flow.add child var Fishpedia button preload instantiate, oops, and then add it. And we'll give a little bit of info to these buttons too. One thing we'll say is Fishpedia button dot. Also, I'll have to update these as you find them too. I don't think you'll ever be able to get new fish when you're inside of the aquarium, so I shouldn't need to actually update these, technically speaking. So I'm gonna have a big like array up here of whatever fish have been found. And we're gonna set this to item ID. So if we don't have it, then it's going to be disabled, and we're also going to say set the sprite. So dot icon is equal to, I think we get fish data in here, do we? We do not. Let's do that. So var fish data is global dot items table dot get item ID. Hey Satellix, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. How's everybody doing? Yeah, what's going on? RGB, welcome in. What are we up to today on your stream? How's everything doing? Alright, we're gonna see if this works at all. So yet another day of my bot dev binge. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Oh. A crash. Oh, right, because we don't have this array. Okay, we just gotta go create it really quick. Like 90% operational now. Let's go. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited to check it out. Yeah. Think of a speed ride. The game dev has been treating you well. Yeah, it's going good. We just launched the public playtest yesterday, so I've been just working on things. Yeah, it's going good. We're gonna make this an array of strings. What I'm setting up right now is like a little menu so you can view all the fish that you need to catch and stuff like that. So, but yeah. Raid 500 viewers. So now if you look in here, you can see there's this list of all these different like fish buttons. We're going to gray these out so you can only see ones that you've previously caught. But this is kind of the idea here. I think it'll be nice. But yeah, it is coming along. Got all these guys in here. So these are like your active fish that you have, and then this is just going to be a list of like information on which ones you've caught. Because I think it's really nice to go through here and be able to be like, oh, you know, I've caught whatever. 20 out of 50 fish, and then you get to go through and like figure out which ones that you need to find. So, you know, for the people that like to 100% everything. Have any plans on adding fish breeding? It's something I've thought about before. I'm curious to hear though why you think I shouldn't. It'd be nice to know, yeah. Yeah, it's always good seeing visual feedback for collecting, yeah. And then I can tie it into like achievements and stuff eventually, which would be really cool too. So yeah, I'm excited to add this in. It'll be really nice. I think it'll help people 100% the game and stuff a lot easier, so. Trying to figure out, I think there's a mode in here or something where I can give this scroll container space. Don't know where that is though. Scroll horizontal. Reserve. So this lets you, before even the scroll bar exists, it keeps a little bit of space on the side for the eventual scroll bar. So it's very helpful. So now I can throw these in here and figure out the proper spacing, assuming that there's a scroll bar over here. Let's set it 1.51, 1.5, 1.49, 1.47, one of these. Oh, 1.44 right there. All right, delete those. Let's regenerate the menu. But yeah, the playtest stuff has been really good so far. A lot of new people on the Discord and stuff, which is really cool. Everybody's been leaving feedback in a forum I made. So yeah, I'd say overall things have gone well. We can check how many people have like signed up for the playtest. See where we're at with that. So we are at 1,000 people for the playtest, which is really cool. Somebody rejected the friend invite, which is interesting. Wonder what happened there. But yeah, very nice. The playtesting period is going to be super helpful for development, I think, because I've already gotten a ton of really helpful feedback from everybody. Just identifying bugs and gameplay balancing and stuff like that. It's going to be super important. So it doesn't fit the game. It's kind of boring because you just have to wait and get more of the fish you already have. Yeah, I do agree on that. I think something I've thought about doing potentially is not so much fish breeding, but kind of like as a very late game feature after you've really like filled out your whole aquarium and stuff, fish like genetic merging, which I think could be kind of a fun mechanic to explore. So it wouldn't be quite the same thing as breeding, but more of just like experimenting. Like, what if I merge a minnow with a goldfish or something and just see what happens, right? Could be fun. Because I think it prevents a lot of the issues with the breeding. Like, you can't just sit there and multiply your fish, because what happens is you actually lose fish. Like, you start with 2 and then you create 1 fish, right? So I think something like that could be a good balanced way to kind of keep the core gameplay solid without like just turning into a matter of waiting. Yeah, exactly. I think it could be kind of fun. One just said, nah, I don't need to invite. I join myself. Yeah, I mean, it is public, so anybody can just join. It's possible. That's what happened, yeah. Yeah, Cookie Clicker does the same thing with the garden. I think it's kind of fun. It's a good little like late game way to just optimize some profits if you really want to spend the time to do it, you know? So I think that'd be fun. Yeah, if we do implement a mechanic like that, that's probably going to be the way that we go about it, so. All right, so we've got all the buttons in here. I'm thinking about how I want what information to be displayed. Like, we'll put literally everything in here, base profit amounts and all that stuff. But the thing that I'm thinking about right now is like, do we want people to be able to click on fish they haven't unlocked yet? Because what I could do is like, if you click on a fish that you haven't discovered, it could show a little thing in here that's like where you can find it and what time, just a little like hint. It wouldn't tell you any information about the fish, like you wouldn't know how much it makes or anything like that, but it would just be a little nudge to be like, hey, this is where you have to go to find this guy, you know, and what specific weather pattern and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about something like that. I don't know what you guys think about that. That'd probably be the way to do it. I don't know. Yeah, because I'm just thinking it might be really hard to know what specific conditions you need to find all these guys. Yeah. Because, like, I don't want to be too frugal with the information I give, because it would be, I think it would start to kind of feel a little bit unfair eventually. If, like, you don't get any information on where to find these guys, and there's like 5 different weather patterns and 20 different regions, like, you just have to sit there and go through every single place and figure it out the hard way, and I think that's not fun. So yeah, I think that's going to be the play here. It's just to give you a little information on how to get them, but not really any other information. So you still get to discover, but you don't get like stuck in a spot where you just can't find anything. So that's probably what we'll do. Okay, so let's get it set up so when you click on one of these guys now, it does stuff. Also, I guess the first thing we should do is make it so we can actually acquire them. So all we have to do for that, it's really easy. Let's go into the aquarium. We're just going to loop through all the fish that we got on a trip and add them to the list. So actually, we could make this even easier if we just go to add fish. This would be the way to do it. It could be an ascension upgrade for the encyclopedia of fish. Yeah, I'm kind of debating between like a research or an ascension maybe for this. Because it is like one of those things where you don't really need this to play the game early on. So it would kind of make sense to have it as something that you unlock later. Alright, so what we're going to do here, fish changed, or inventory changed. If found fish does not have what you currently have, then say found fish dot push back fish ID. So let's give that a try. I'm curious to see what happens here. So if I like return a fish from my tank into my inventory now, those should be highlighted. So we can go into here, just move them into here, and then move them back. Now the problem is I will have to update that because it means, yeah. But if I go into the main menu and then load back in, I think we should see that fish. Yeah, now it's like lit up and we can click on it. So that works pretty well. I can't seem to actually click on this button for some reason. So I gotta figure out why. There must be like another element above it that's blocking it from input. I'm not 100% sure which one that is. So it's gonna be inside of this container here. Let's just keep going up the list. Fishpedia, does this have... Oh yeah, this is set to stop because it's a panel container. But it should be okay because that's above in the node tree. So these things should detect input first. We can pass it, I suppose. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, something's a little weird here. Can't seem to click on it. Why is that? I'm not sure. Let's reload the game. Yeah, so it did delete my list, just because I haven't added it to the save mechanics yet. Let's go do that. Save game data. Throw this in here. Found fish. Load game data. Place this with found fish. There we go. That's just a list of which ones have been found and which ones have not been. I don't know why I can't click on the button. That's a little weird. There must be something in there blocking it. I'm just not sure. So obviously I can't click on those because I haven't found one yet. But if we go to the pond and catch a fish and then go back. Let's try that. Okay, so we caught a fish, caught a minnow. Now if I go back into here, I still can't click on the button. I'm not sure what's up. Is the tab container taking our focus away? Tabs visible. All tabs in front. Why is it doing that? I mean, I can print out like what node I'm receiving input from, but it's really weird because this is just like in here. And it should be an animated button. Let me go look at this scene really quick. This is our like Fishpedia button in here. This is a type of animated button, right? Yeah. So I don't know why this would not be working. I do have mouse set to stop. As far as I can tell, it should be clickable. That's really weird. Could be because like this menu is above it or something and it's blocking input, but that wouldn't really make any sense because it goes invisible. So I don't think that should happen. Let's just keep going down the list and making sure all these are on pass, I guess. So that one's on pass. Flow container. That one's on pass. Then we just have an H separator. Let's get rid of for now. We also have a random VBox container. That's probably what's doing it, I think, actually. Let's try this again. I think that was just a mistake. There we go. Now it's normal. So it's a little weird here because you can see when the button expands to click on it, it does crop it. Which is a little problematic because it looks bad. I don't know if there's something that we can do to fix that from happening. I mean, I can disable like cropping on this, but that doesn't really... That's going to be bad. Follow focus border. What is scroll hint? Indicators that show the content can be scrolled in a direction. Don't know what that is. Need 2 pixel margin, resizing the buttons. Yeah, I'll probably have to add a little margin to this. Then I think that's the only way it's gonna display properly. But it shouldn't be too bad. That's on reserve. So I can just go ahead and give this a margin container. And then put the flow container inside of the margin container. Set that to expand. And now we can see the margin in there for the flow container. We'll just keep tweaking the margins until it's where it's at, where we need it at. Oh yeah, now this has an invalid reference. Let's fix that really quick. Okay. Then now if we go back in here, yeah, it's gonna mess up the ordering a little bit. We'll fix that though. So that margin is too big. Let's make it smaller. Go into constants and let's try like 8. And we'll see where that leaves us.
Searching for constants.
Alexa, stop. Swear to Bleep Gorp, guys. All right, let's try 4 pixels, see where that's at. Actually, even 4 is like enough, which is interesting. That's actually pretty good right there. All right, I think we're okay there. So yeah, that's really not too much of a margin. So all we have to do on these buttons is just shrink them by a very tiny amount. Because right now they are 128 wide. We just need to subtract 8 pixels on either side. And also do the same on the vertical. There we go. New and improved button shape. Alexa moment, yeah. She's annoying. Cool. It'd be cool also if like these guys have like listed sizes and stuff, just so you know how big they are. Maybe that's something we do eventually. Let's get it set up now so you can actually like click on these buttons and it does stuff. So I'll probably have to get up, set some code up for these. Maybe I might be able to just connect everything up with signals probably. But the only things I need to pass in, like, I don't know if I can get who called a signal or not. I'm not really sure. Oh, but I can bind data. It's fine. It's fine. So we can say Fishpedia button dot pressed dot connect, and then we can choose a function. So set info dot bind item ID. And now we can have function set info, pass in a fish ID, and do stuff in here. All right, so first thing, we want to set the texture on this texture rect. So we're gonna get fish data, so var fish data, whoops. Fish ID, and then set to fish data dot sprite. That's just to make sure all this works. It should. Let's try it out. Okay. So if we go in here now, boom, and it sets the image here. Pretty good. Should also make it so the fish you don't have. Yeah, we'll definitely do that in just a second here. I'm thinking about how I want to do that because it's a little trickier than it might seem. I would just do like a shader, but I think I might have to like generate new versions of each of these sprites. I'm not 100% sure yet. Unless what we do is on the button, instead of it actually being the real icon of the button, we just add another texture rect above the button. I know this seems a little crazy, but this actually would work. And then we can just put the sprite in here like this. Get rid of the texture there. We'll actually give this a margin because otherwise it might kind of extend past the edges of the button. And that way we can just put a shader on the icon to make it grayed out, which will work really well. 4 pixels should be plenty. And then we can say, yeah, fit or ignore size and say keep aspect centered like that. And we'll give this just a little bit more spacing, like 6 pixels, so there's a 1 pixel gap. And then on this texture rect, what we can do is just like this. We go into visibility and just like boom. And now it's a silhouette of the fish. So that'll work really well. Although I'm not just gonna set it to pure black. I am gonna give this a new shader. So let's go ahead and just create it really quick. It's really easy. The hardest part is remembering how to spell silhouette. Oh God. Almost accidentally went to a website called Silhouette. Okay. All right, so now all we do in here, get rid of that. We don't care about the vertex function. And we're just gonna say color is equal to color. And we'll define color up here. And it's gonna be a type of source or hint color. I think it's source color now, yeah. Vec4, do Vec3 color. And then it's going to be equal to that RGB. And that's literally it. So now we just define our color over here so that we can make it in line with our palette. So just go grab this color here. Boom. And there we go. We've got an outline, a silhouette. Cool. So next thing is I want to add a thing to this, whether it's active or not. So we're going to do a instance uniform bool on, and then we'll just say if on. I have to remember my syntax here. Then do that. So now we can just go into here. There's instance uniforms somewhere. I know you can change them in here. How you could. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh well, but this will work. Snooze the ad. So then something I'm going to do is get a reference to that node just to make this easier. Say add on ready, or just export it. Texture. This type of texture rect. Assign that. Boom. And now we can both set it and set whether it's visible or not. So we go back into here. Set that to... So I'm not going to make it disabled anymore. But I will do this. Which is fishpedia dot... I think it's texture is what I called it. Text. Dot set shader or set instance uniform or something. I remember the function. Set instance shader parameter. And we're going to set on to whether or not we have global dot found fish as fish ID. That should work. And this is going to be item ID. Set that to the opposite there. Let's change the Fishpedia button. Okay. And then now same thing here. We say text.texture is equal to the sprite. So let's give it a try. Hopefully this works. And I might actually make a function inside of the button code just so that we can update this easier if we find a new fish. Yeah, now you can see all these guys are just like silhouette versions of themselves, so you won't really know what these fish are until you find them. Some of them are a little bit like obvious what they are. Like, this is probably definitely an eel, right? But also it's one of those things where it's obvious to me just because I've drawn all these guys and I know what they look like. But to other people, it might not be so obvious. Like looking at this, it's like, is that a crab or what? So you don't really know what it is. And we'll do the same thing in here where we do the silhouette shader. That's why I made it a shader, so that we can just apply it wherever we want. Yeah, just to make it so that these guys are also darkened out. Then if it is unlocked, we can actually see it and stuff. So we're gonna copy, I'm actually gonna save this material from, let's see, where's that? Fishpedia button. That's a worm. It could be. You never know. Copy that shader, and then we're gonna go back into inventory menu. And this texture rect will have, boom, the silhouette shader. Just like that. Okay. Pretty easy. We're also going to start this menu off being like empty. Just going to say select a fish. Okay. Now inside of here, we're going to do the same thing whenever we click on one of these. So set info, and we're going to check if it's locked or not. So if we'll say locked is equal to global.found_fish.has fish ID. So we'll set all the same stuff, all that, set the sprite. I'm going to change this to var texture. Is that if it's locked, or we just do this texture dot the same exact thing we did over here. On is whether or not it is locked. So locked. All right. So if it has it, it's. I'm going to change this to unlocked. I'm just going to change this to found. All right, so if we load back in again, we'll see now if we click on one that we have not found, it'll make the icon over on the right dark also. And then we can just start filling in all the information about them. You know, their cache value and stuff, where you can find them. We'll do all that stuff. So now you can see what it's like here. Pretty epic. All right. And then whenever we do select a fish, we're going to grab a reference to our label and start filling it out. Label.text. We're going to start off with the name. Probably like 32. And then 0. Format. This is where we get the name, so fish data.name. And then right below that, we're going to put the description. So plus equals, do that. Gonna do the same thing here. Rename this to description. Get rid of the font size stuff. Let's see what that looks like. Got ads starting in just a minute, everybody. My apologies. Second. Okay, so now if we look at this again, boom. Oh, I forgot to enable BB code. That is why it's not working. Try that again. Okay. So now when you select a guy, oh, I did the wrong. I have to do a slash on font size. There we go. So the name of the fish right there at the top works pretty well. I'm pretty sure this guy's the longest name. I don't know if anybody's actually found him yet. And then the description right down there. That works pretty well. And then we'll just have a big list of all the things. So like where you can find them, their money values and all that stuff. We have to figure out, like, we have to dynamically create a list of where these fish are found. Because we don't really have that information right now. Like, it's stored in the data of the game somewhere in there, but we need to go through and like you know, generate it or whatever. Okay, so all we have to do is just get a list of region IDs in which they are found, and that's basically it. So let's do that. So we're going to go into global, and we're just going to generate this list on ready. So at the very start of the game. And these are like hard-coded things. So I'm just going to do that right in here. Get rid of this grind timer thing. We don't use that anymore. Same with that. And what we're going to do here is say for in global dot regions table. And then we're going to have a list of all the fish. So first off, we have to generate the dictionary. So for in global dot items table. Be fun if you did a stream where you read through the forums and add the feedback to the game. Yeah, I don't know how people would feel about that, because I don't know if there's like any information in there that people would want to keep kind of explicitly to me. I'm not sure. But we could. Maybe tomorrow. I'll have to see. I'll go through there and make sure there's nothing that's like identifiable or anything, because I really want to keep everything anonymous. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's all anonymous, it's not like I'm showing anybody's emails or anything, so it should be okay. Yeah, we could do that. Also, ads are over. Sorry about that. So now I'm gonna set up. I'm just gonna have a dictionary up here that we call like var fish locations. And it's gonna have a string of the fish and then an array of the locations that they're found in. So that's the way that this is gonna work. So first off, we have to add all the fish. So we're gonna go through and say fish locations at index I is equal to an empty array. The next thing that we do here is we loop through the regions table, and we're going to add all the fish. So we're going to loop through. Let's get our region data. I'm just going to say ID on this. Now for in region data dot fish, I think is what it is. Let's go look inside of here. For the not fishing regions table. So we have fish and also pot fish. Those are the two that we need to add into there. So back into global. Then over here for in region data dot pot fish. So we're just gonna see. So we're getting a fish ID here. So let's do that. Fish ID in there and in there. And it's actually, let's see. Because all of these are an array actually. So let's do this. Then say var fish ID is equal to array at index 1. That's what we need to do. And then now we're going to add them in. So we're going to say fish locations at index fish ID dot append, and we're going to add in our region ID, so ID. And I think that should work. We'll give it a try. So if we go back into our inventory Fishpedia menu now, I can add that information in here. So we're just going to see what happens. So I'm going to say regions is equal to global.fish locations at index fish ID. And then now for in regions, we say var data is global dot regions table dot get I. And I'm going to say label dot text plus equals locations with a space, and then say label dot text plus equals region data dot name. All right. So let's see what this looks like. And already died because I have to actually check if they have these things. So if it has fish, and if it has pot fish. Let's try that again. And generated properly. So now if we go look inside of here, and we click on a fish, boom, shows you the locations that these guys spawn in. So you can see this one is pond and lake, because that's the reason I did this, is because some of these guys spawn in multiple locations. Like the catfish is the lake and river. There's a little bit of potential overlap between these. So, and then it shows these guys all in the, this guy is in a bunch of places in the ocean. We're gonna format that text to look a lot better. One thing I want to do is actually color the region names and stuff. I think it should work. I might do this actually, where I just say, we go back into the inventory menu, locations with like a larger font, something probably like 24 font size, and then beneath that we just keep listing all these out. So label.text, the name, and we're gonna do this format, because I also want to include their icon. I think that would be cool. So we're going to do that. We're going to go into the regions table, and we're actually going to assign each of these an icon now. So icon. It's going to be preload. Icon. Where's the ocean icon? Oh, there it is. Same with the river. And the pond has not had an icon for a long time, just because I haven't needed to do it yet. But now that all these are going to have icons, I need to go ahead and do that. So lake, river, ocean, and the pond. Let's go draw a pond icon, shall we? Do I have plans to add any more weather? Yeah, I definitely would like to. We've got like some decent, like just basic weather patterns right now, but there's a lot of potential types we could throw in. I'd like one to be like a storm with lightning and stuff like that. We could even do like, we've got sunny and cloudy, rainy. Yeah, stormy could be one. Maybe even like hail could be another one. Snowing maybe could be another one. I'm going to get it set up so that only specific kinds of regions have specific weather types. So like there might be a place that it doesn't rain but only snows instead, that kind of thing. Yeah, because I imagine we'll add in some more like alpine areas, like up north with more like, you know, in a colder region, I think would be kind of cool. Also, eventually, I have plans for like Antarctica and stuff, which would be pretty crazy. So there's all sorts of things we could do with that too. But yeah, if anyone has ideas on types of weather, definitely let me know. So I think there's a lot of potential for that there. We might also do potentially day-night cycles too, so that you can catch stuff during the day or night. Because that would just add like kind of another layer of, you know, conditions to catching fish. And then also another one too is seasons. I might add in a way to like skip and wait for specific seasons, because it would be really annoying if you just had to sit there and, yeah. Fish storm, 200% more fish, yeah. Acid rain? That'd be crazy. Maybe add some fish that only spawn certain weather. Yeah, that's going to be the plan. Eventually, we're going to get so many fish in the game that it's going to be like we have to kind of limit which ones appear when, because it's going to make it very difficult to get specific fish you want. Because, like, let's say we have like 20 fish for the pond. You're going to have to... Your odds of getting the fish you want is 1 in 20. But if we have like specific weather patterns and stuff like that, it shrinks the possible pool of fish at any given moment. So it's going to really help, I think. And it'll just make it kind of more fun to explore and find things. It gives you kind of a reason to go back to older zones, because then it's like, oh, I've discovered this new fish here. Or like the weather pattern has changed, so maybe there's some new guys here I haven't gotten before, and stuff like that. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, the icon for... I think I'll kind of base it around like the lake one, since it's a similar vibe. And we're going to get rid of the pine trees and just kind of make it look like the pond. Yeah, there's so many different things we could do with this game for sure. One of the reasons it's been really fun working on this is like, this is so open-ended. Working on Starground before, like it's fun and all, but yeah, I don't know. This has been very fun though. No idea that you did music. I didn't do the music. You might have read, that's my brother. His name is Jack. Give it another read. You might have just thought it was my name because it started with a J. Yeah, I didn't do the music. He had to do this like community service thing for high school. So it just seemed like a good opportunity. I was making this game already anyways, so like his like community service was making music for Lured In. And hopefully he'll keep doing music after I'm gonna pay him for it, so. Let's see here. What do I want this icon to look like? Could kind of make it look like the river. Like where it's like a circular icon. The ocean is also like that. I'm not quite sure what I want to do there yet. Tell Jack that's really good. I will let him know. Yeah. I appreciate it. Let's do that to right there. And I messed it up. And I messed it up again. There we go. Boom, circle. Well, here, it's just easier to copy this. Just copy this guy. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep all the icons for the regions in like a circular format like this. I think it's just nice to have it like this. I probably should have copied the ocean region icon, but it's fine. Here, what am I doing? Let's just do this. And fill that in. All right, so this is going to have a sky very similar to the ocean. Let's go grab that. Actually, icon ocean. I'm just going to use this as our base here, because I can fill this in, get rid of the sun on the horizon. I'll do a different cloud pattern here. I have to remember the colors I use. I'll keep that guy there. And we're going to make all this green. We're going to like shift up the horizon a little bit more. No, this will freeze. Yeah. Picture this. You're in a house with no doors, windows, or lights. You know you're not alone, but nothing ever shows up. Sounds like a bad time. Wouldn't want to be in that situation. All right, so I'll put like a couple hills in the background or something. I don't like how that looks. We'll just do that. And then the pond. It's generally oval shaped. I'll go look at the image of the pond so I can replicate it. Region pond. All right, that's what it looks like. It's kind of like higher up over on this side. And it goes down into a curve. down into like a little spike, and then another spike guy, and then up. That's good enough. Might even get rid of that right there. Okay, so we're gonna draw in like some little lily pads and stuff on the pond. We've also got all the reeds, so we'll be doing that. Yeah, this will work. And then reeds. Cattails. Might even draw like a little path leading up to the pond. Maybe. No, it just looks like a weird appendage. I'm gonna get rid of that. Well, I don't like how I drew the reeds. They look stupid. Okay. This is much better. Then we also have to do this. Some foliage. It's not too bad. We'll just add some little decorations and stuff nearby. Since like this is so small scale compared to the other things, like we get to kind of like add in details normally you wouldn't see in the other regions. Like little flowers and stuff. I think it'll help make it look like it's kind of like smaller scale. Yeah, that'll work. Then we're gonna do a big cloud. That'll do. Okay. Practically it. I could add the reeds on here. I don't even know if, or the cattails, you know. Don't even know if we need to. I think it's kind of extra. Change the color of these like this. Let's also do a little bit of like anti-aliasing on here. Yeah. Might even do like that. Make it look like they're kind of in the water. We don't really have an in-between between the green and whatnot. Might do a more saturated green here. Probably. Then now I can anti-alias ever so slightly. Still doesn't really work though. Trying to figure out if I have a color that'll work here. That doesn't really work because it's like a dark green. But I do like how it lets me kind of do some shadows here on the water. And then also we'll need like some shininess on the water. I think that'll get the job done. Okay, that's pretty much good enough. The pond is just a little simple area. So let's save this as icon pond. So now we can go back into the regions table. And set this to icon pond. And we might also need like a generic icon up here for when we don't have anything, and I already have one for that. It's icon question, like that. So that'll work. Just in case like somebody adds in a region with a mod or something and they didn't put in an icon, I need like a default. Okay, so back into the inventory menu. So now what we can do here, it'll look pretty cool, I think. We give this a color and then add in the image to the side of it. I don't know what size the image is going to be yet. We'll figure that one out. And then just put a color in here, and this is going to be 0 for the name. Then here the path is going to be region data icon.path. Oops, .get path, I mean. All right, let's see what that looks like. And then the color that we want to do here, I think I'll do like this kind of bright blue color. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. We need to put another space after locations here for the new line. Also, the image here is a bit too big. Let's shrink it down. Pond. It's really hard to see the icon at this scale. So I might go ahead and do this. Up the size of the locations, and then here I want to set font size to be like 24. Let's try that out. That's a little better. And I guess we can make the icon larger. Bring it up to 24. Just so you can kind of see it a little bit. I think that's helpful. The next thing is between each of these, I want to add like a space. So how can we check this? I'll probably have index here. So just so I know which like one I'm on. We start at 0, then we say plus equals 1. So now I can say if region index is greater than 0, say label a text plus equals like 2 spaces or something. Try that out. That's better. Now I don't know if I want the name to be visible, so I think what we're gonna do is, if it's not discovered yet, we're just gonna change it to question marks. All right, so we're gonna do this. Fish name is equal to that. And then if not found, we reset fish name to be equal to 3 question marks. So now you click on one of these guys and it just shows a question mark. And then we're also going to change the description down here. So just call this fish description. Equal to that. If not found, go ahead and do the same thing. Let's do this. Discover this fish to learn more. So now this is all you get. It just shows the location, and it'll also show the weather type. We haven't implemented that mechanic into the game yet, so it won't actually work. But yeah, it just gives you a little hint. It's like where you can find it, and we'll add in some other info about how to acquire it. Yeah, I think this will work well. Cool. Well, Star Moons, welcome in. How's it going? Yeah, we're making a, this is a idle fishing game. You can travel to different regions to catch fish. Let's go to the pond. Once you catch a fish, boom, I caught a goldfish. You can go back to your aquarium, put your new captured fish into an aquarium tank right there. And there you go. So he's, whenever you have fish inside of your tanks, they generate passive income. You can spend that money on a whole bunch of things. You can upgrade your tanks. You can buy, you know, researchers. There's this whole mechanic in here. You can unlock new abilities and stuff like that. Better equipment, crab pots, ascension, just a whole load of things. Amazing, well, I appreciate it, yeah. Trying to learn coding and it's extremely hard. It is really hard to start with programming without any pre-existing knowledge, yeah. It's a lot of things that you have to learn. You gotta understand like what classes are and syntax and all these random things. It does always seem initially like it's there's a lot of things that seem kind of extra or unnecessary, but I always find myself eventually running into a perfect use case for everything, so. It's getting easier with time. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you eventually reach a spot, at least for me, where like learning a new language now with the knowledge I already have from other languages, it's nothing. Because all the programming languages kind of have like a core structure to them. So like for example, Java and C++, they both have kind of similar syntax. Like you're going to use curly braces and semicolons to end a line and stuff like that. Like that becomes just completely innate and you don't ever have to think about that kind of stuff. Yeah, so definitely it's hard initially, but if you keep at it, you get to a spot where it just starts to click much better. I'd really focus on learning like the core principles, like understand like logic flow, like if, else, and all those things. Definitely look into learning about functions or methods. They're kind of interchangeable names. They're extremely important. And once you start using those more often, I think that's when you become a much better programmer. So yeah, keep looking at tutorials, understand all the core principles of the language. And yeah, you'll eventually get there with time. When you add Saka, yeah, I heard about that guy. Yeah, I could add him in. I do want to do a zone that has like prehistoric fish, and I think he would be a good addition for a place like that, since I'm pretty sure he's extinct, right? I think they're from a time of dinosaurs. Sakum, yeah, this guy. But he's an interesting guy. He doesn't have any fins or anything. He looks like a little weird. Apparently he's like a predator. I mean, it makes sense because his eyes are in the front of his face. Well, yeah, he's a weird guy. It is real. I know it looks fake, but it is actually a real fish that used to exist. We have fossils of them. So it's wacky, I know. It looks like it shouldn't be a real fish, but this is what they look like. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, an extinct genus of armored jawless fish. So they were 10 inches. They're smaller than you think they'd be. So they're only like this big or whatever. But yeah. So hey Zen, welcome in. How's it going? What is lured in? It's the new game I've been working on. Still working on Starground in the background. Yeah, the playtest just came out, so it's playable. Anyone can sign up. But yeah, you catch fish. You do little mini games to catch them. Wait for this mini game to start. Boom. Catch a fish, you bring them back to your aquarium and you can put them on display. So like I'll put that carp that I just caught on display. So put him in here. Now he's swimming around in here and he makes you passive income. You can spend your money on a whole bunch of things. Upgrades, decorations for your shop and stuff like that. So yeah. Been working on it for about like 4 months since the beginning of the year. I mean, I came up with the idea, me and Psycho, a while ago. But I just didn't really seriously work on it until like this year. Yeah, it's coming along. Keep trying them. Thank you for motivating me. Yeah. there's always going to be moments where it's a struggle. I've been through that for sure. I remember I used to be so bad at programming. I couldn't do anything without a tutorial, but it just gets so much easier with time and practice. And eventually you hit a spot like where I'm at now, where I just don't need tutorials for anything anymore. Sometimes occasionally I might look something up just because I'm not sure like how something works in Godot specifically, but it really does become so much easier. Maybe it's a fish-snake hybrid. I don't think snakes existed back then. This guy is from a long time ago. Because what period was he in? The Ordovician period? Like, that's probably before land animals existed. I don't know. I think this is during the Cambrian explosion, probably. Let's look up if any... So when did this start? So this is 465 million years ago. So it's in between the Cambrian and the Silurian. So I'm pretty sure the Cambrian was before land animals existed, which is always really insane. Animals evolve. Okay. A scorpion, huh? So it's, I guess, right around that time, but I don't think snakes existed yet. With Stardew vibes? Yeah, that's epic. Like Fish Tycoon and Stardew, yeah, exactly. Oh, we need more 4-hour dev challenges? Yeah, I do want to do more of those in the future for sure. Yeah, the last one was pretty fun. It was definitely hard, but I had a good time with it, though. It was a pretty interesting, like, seeing how to make a game in 4 hours, so... Yeah, I definitely like to do more. I'll probably still edit the last one that we did down to a video eventually, before I do the next one. We'll see. I have the video downloaded, so I just need to go through and, like, actually make a script and stuff. But yeah, this was pretty fun. If I do another one, I'll probably kind of have it set up so like anyone's welcome to join in on this. Kind of more of a official game jam. But yeah. It was fun. What are my notifications? Let's go. I have like a little issue on Starground right now where when I try to laser the conveyor, it starts pointing. Oh, I know what's going on with that. You probably have a snap to first object on or something like that in the settings. If you disable that, it should stop that from happening. It is a bug that I will fix. You might have that option on intentionally. I just need to mark the like platform as not being a type of building, so it'll get fixed eventually. I might have already fixed it. I can't remember. I'll have to double check the code. You'll do great. Well, thank you very much. I'll be going now. See you later. Sub so I can watch your channel grow. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck with learning programming. It is hard, but it's a really cool thing to know how to do. So frustrated. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, don't worry about it. I'll fix it soon. Yeah, hopefully we'll have the next big content update for Starground soon. I'm hoping like May or maybe even this month. It's hard to say. I just need to keep grinding away at it. It is really hard to stay motivated with Starground. I will be real. But eventually we'll get there to 1.0. We're almost there. Anyways. All right. So if you already have caught the fish, the next thing we're gonna the list out is like all the statistics. So this is gonna be like stats. And we're gonna list all those out. So starting new and I see the, oh, it's just on the building menu, like without the decorations research. Yeah, I gotta fix that. Let me write that down. That's all our new stuff. I'll just put it anywhere in here. This trophy needs to be put into decoration research. I will do that. Okay, so that's the fish regions. Alright, so we already got regions, get rid of that. So this is going to show like the stats of the fish, just a big list of a bunch of things. I don't know if there's an easy way to do a table, because that would honestly probably be the best way to kind of do this or format this. There might be something inside of the BB code section for creating tables. Okay, so there is a table here, so it's possible. This would be the easiest way to do it, probably. We can say label a text plus equals, and then say, right, do a table tag. So how does this work? So we have a number, cells, and then table. I think number has to do with the number of columns. Yeah. So table equal to 2, and then we have all of our things in there. And we'll see what that looks like. What's the effect name you put on every label? Oh yeah, that's a little like wobble shader. I'll explain that in just a little bit here. Good boy. Anyways, our teacher is here. Thanks for coming in, Zen. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye. So that little like wiggle shader on all the textures and labels and stuff. If you go into, it's actually a shader I grabbed on Godot Shaders. Godot Shaders is a really great website. Oh, dude. Turn to dust shader. I actually have been needing this so bad. Wonder how they do it. Okay, they just like... How do they do this? Very cool, though. I gotta use this. But it's a shader on this website, Godot Shaders. Oh my god, wall destruction. There's just so many that are so cool. Scatter glass is insane. This is what's so great about this website, is there's just so much cool stuff that you find. Transition from one texture to another. This is a wobble shake shader. Automotive paints is actually really neat. Blatro fire shader. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because there's all these super cool things. They're just so old. They're all so epic. Like this is generating a normal map for water. That could be wild inside of Lurden. Anyways, let me go show you the shader here. So if you look up, like, I think it's Wiggle or something like that. I believe it's this shader is the one I used, and then I just modified it a little bit. Mainly just adding in a way to disable the effect or control the intensity of it. So you can see the effect happening here. It might not want to do it on here. Yeah, it's a little broken in that little preview thing, but this is what it looks like. It works really well. I just have a little script to attach it to all the nodes when they get added into the game. So yeah, completely free to use. All I did is I added in a global uniform, and what that does is it lets me control the strength of all of the shaders everywhere at the same time. So that's the only thing I really changed. It just kind of modifies the strength value. Yeah, very neat shader. Thank you, Tentabro P, for the shader. Very epic. This seems really cool. It's like a little wall break shader. So it divides it into multiple blocks. So is this it must be, no, it's not a particle shader, which is very interesting. I wonder how this works. Yeah, this might be a little bit of a tricky shader to set up because you have to align it with the grid and stuff. That's cool. And then this generates, I believe, a normal map for water, which is really cool. I gotta set that up. Turn to dust. Here's this one. Oh, there it is. That's a strength is basically progress. It's a pretty simple shader, but yeah, it works well. And you can like tweak all these values in here and stuff. That one I'd want to set to like pretty high, probably. So you can just be like, it's nice because it's just like one little, you know, all-in-one shader. Normally to do this effect, you have to like use like a particle emitter or something like that, but there's a nice, easy way to do it. Anyways, very cool. Okay, so back to our table here. So we're gonna have a list of all of our cells in here. So let's just start with a couple things. We're gonna have that. So this is gonna be like value, new line, passive, new line. Let's just see what that looks like really quick. So we're going to run format on this and then get fish data dot value and fish data dot passive. So let's see what this looks like. I don't know what table will do. I'm not really sure, but hopefully this does sort of what I need. And it died because there's no passive. It might be called income or something like that. Let's go look at the items table again. Passive income. It's both. Let's give that a try. Start the game. Okay. So now it's still not working. Oh, because I have to convert these into strings. Right, we got to do global dot format number. Okay. The guy at the end. Give this another try. So it didn't seem to show anything. So I don't know if table is really the thing that I want to use for this because it seems a little broken. I think I'm just going to loop through all our stats that we need. So we're going to go, say, for I and stats and just add them all. Then now we save our stats is equal to this. So we're gonna have a couple things here. So it's gonna be a string that we say dot format. And we're just gonna format one number here. Then this is gonna say value 0. Passive. What are the other stats on here that we have for fish? Oh yeah, weight. And also the liquid type down here. So this is going to be like this with the name. And then an image. And that's going to have, instead of formatting a number, we are going to grab fish data. Might have to actually grab liquid types here, so that also has multiple liquid types potentially. So I might, I do this inside of the item panel, and I might kind of take that code out of there and turn it into something that I can use wherever I want. So I don't have to duplicate this code again. I think we're going to do that. Because I do it all right here. So yeah, I'm just going to generate a string and then pass it down. Okay. Because I say if allowed, yeah, for I and allowed liquids. Okay. So we're going to copy all that. We're going to create a new global variable or function, I mean, that will generate that list. So function generate fish stats. It's going to return a string. We're going to say var text is an empty string. Oops. And now we're going to put all the stuff onto it. So like that. And we're also going to pass in fish ID, string, get a dot fish, oops, items table dot get fish ID, say var fish data is equal to that. Okay. So that's like most of the things in here. We're getting liquid right there. We're going to append this. That should work right there. Tank attributes table I for item data. Let's change this to item data. There we go. Then we're getting this right here. This is the algae multiplier. Now for value, that's something that we're going to have to kind of figure out how we want that to be formatted. I wish there was a way that was easier to enable or disable wrapping in the editor here. It's too bad. Sometimes wrapping is really nice, and then other times it's kind of just annoying. Okay, because value, I think, is calculated a little bit differently. I'm not really sure. I might have a function for that now, which is like global.calculate fish value. Yeah, there we go. What do you know? I'll slow down to call global in here since this is global. Get rid of all this. Say text plus equals. Same here. And this is complaining. I don't know why. Oh. There we go. And at the end, we just return text. So yeah, that should work now, hopefully. This is going to be a type of dictionary. Let's try and statically type as many of these things as we can. Also on format number, okay, that's a string, so that's already typed. Algae multiplier is going to be a type of float. All right, so I think that's everything. And then back inside of our item panel now, we don't have to do all this stuff. We can just say stats labels equal to global dot get generate fish stats given our fish ID. Boom. And I'm just gonna comment all that out. So I just want to see if this works. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, welcome back. So if I go into here, yeah, it just works. So I can get rid of all that garbage now, which is nice. And the inventory menu, adding in the stats here is just a matter of text is equal to global dot Generate fish stats. And that's literally it. Dunzo. So let's try it out. And boom. Now it seems to be cutting off other stuff. I'm not sure why. Like, all of a sudden the name for the fish is gone, which is a little weird. I'm not sure why. Because I said fish name, I push back, format fish name, the description. Why would that disappear? Could be that the text is getting too long. So let's go into the inventory menu. So I'm not going to say fit content then. That could be kind of what's happening. No, it's not too long. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's just randomly cutting off the first two things. I thought I was adding to it, am I not? Oh, I'm stupid. Okay. Thank you for catching that. So yeah, welcome in, Steven. In 4-star Bell Review. How you guys doing? Okay, so it does get too long there. So yeah, we might have to figure out a different kind of way to format this. Just fine. How else could we do this? I kind of want this stats thing to just be on the side. But I don't think that would look very good. We could just have this spaced out horizontally, which is another thing. I might change the way that we generate fish stats into here to be actually an array of strings. Right? So that I can kind of choose how I want to format these things. I think that's going to be better. So call this stats, array, strings. It's like normally down there in the item panel, I can just do it the same way I'm doing it now. But then I can choose like, hey, I actually don't want to do it this way. Now I just say append. Fix that guy, that guy, that guy. Oh yeah, didn't the what's the status on the moon mission right now? I wonder what happened. Looks like they splashed down safe and sound. Let's go. Epic. I'll have to watch that later. Okay, so this is just going to return an array of strings now. So let's go back into here. Now what I'm going to say is var stats is that. And then say for I and stats. Label text push back. I. And I'm going to add like a big space here between them. So we'll see if that works. Okay, and then back in the item panel, we got to do kind of the same thing here for I and get our stats. Hope Items 4 also goes well. Yeah, that's gonna be the big one. That's the landing. Yeah, they're doing Artemis 3 is just gonna be like an automated one, right? I don't think there's any crew. Yeah, it was really cool watching all the Artemis 2 stuff. The photos they've grabbed are insane. Like there's the one with the one they grabbed while they were getting the solar eclipse. Is super cool. This one, it's so difficult to like. It's crazy because looking at this photo, to me, I'm like, this is like fake or like an artist rendition or like, you know, something like that. So it's so insane to think that like this was just taken out of a camera. This is just a raw photo. Isn't that wild? I know. It's so insane to think that like the 4 people in there just saw this with their own eyes. It looks like a fake, like a video game render or something, you know? It's just so crazy. That's got to be absolutely insane to see something like that before your own eyes. Man. But yeah, it's a really cool photo. Might have to set it as my desktop background. We'll see. And then what we're going to do here is give this a new line with each new one. Okay. This should work. Let's try it out. But yeah, man, it's so cool. Glad everything went really well, because that's a good thing for the future of space travel, you know? It means all the... Whoa, stop! Oh. Yikes. I gotta remember to reset the text. Thank you for the cheese time, Bobby. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so I realized, I think inside of this, I actually give them all new lines. Yeah, let's get rid of those. That should fix it. One small cheese for man, yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's working really well now here, and then inside of here, they're now like formatted horizontally, which I think is a good thing. It'll just be a little easier to format these. So then at the end of this, I also want to say label.text plus equals a new line. Let's give that a try. Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's next for space travel stuff. I've always been really interested in space. I just think it's epic and cool. Part of the reason I made a game about space. And I used to play a lot of Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, I used to play this all the time. It's really sad to see what happened with KSP2 because it was so promising. When was this? That was a while ago. Yeah, very disappointing. I think they recently sold the game. I think. Yeah, it's not even made by Squad. It's just like mixed in with all this other stuff. Here it is. Intercept Games. I think they sold it recently. I'm not sure. We'll see. Hope NASA's success gets the ESA to do more. Yeah. It would be really cool to see like other countries kind of competing with what NASA's been able to do. It's awesome that NASA's done epic stuff. Like it's epic. But really for like space travel to become important enough to keep doing, it can't be only the US doing anything, right? So I really hope we see like other countries, you know, spending money on missions to planets like the moon and Mars and stuff like that. Still have hope for the KSP2 Redux mod. Yeah, I hope that goes well. Because man, it is a disappointing game. It's insane how negative the reviews are. I mean, they should be. Last update was 22 months ago. Pretty bad. Right now, only China matches. Yeah, but there is some definitely promising countries doing some cool stuff. Like India recently has been doing some really cool things. I think they launched like a rover recently on the moon. Unless I'm thinking of the China one. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure they did one. Yeah, they did one in 2023. So that's really cool. That there's more exploration going on the moon. But we'll see what happens with my notification. More alerts. on my talk page. This is saying, hey, welcome. Okay. But yeah, I am hopeful. I hope the moon base goes well. It really does suck with there's like another NASA budget cut. I don't know how they're able to do so much with such a slim budget, because you look at what it is now compared to what it used to be, and it's pretty insane. Because the thing too is like inflation has happened. So if you adjust for inflation, their budget is so small compared to what it was like during the 60s. It's wild. 60s and 70s. Yeah, we'll see. Duct tape, yeah. Get rid of that new line there. We're gonna try this out. I want to see what it looks like if yeah, I like how that is better. Just the descriptions right there. And then down here, I'm gonna give 2 lines just so there's a little more separation between these two. There we go. I like how this looks. It's just a nice, solid overview panel of everything. Eventually, I'll probably like kind of reformat this or make it a scroll container so that you can see like weather types too that they like to be in. But I think I like this so far. But yeah, anyways, I am hoping that spaceflight becomes more popularized. It would be pretty epic. Kind of one of those things where it's like, it's really just from a perspective of humanity's long-term survival. Like, it's really dangerous being a one planet species. One gamma ray burst or one meteor can come around and wipe out everything in one day. So if we could exist on multiple planets, that would be very good for our long-term survival. It's just also like really cool and epic. So yeah, that's the other reason. We got ads starting in 20 seconds. My apologies, everybody. Why do we get ads again? Oh, I snoozed the other ad, didn't I? Yeah, I thought, I don't know. I don't like we've been getting more ads. All right, so this is working well. You can look at the Fishpedia. I need to hide the stats when they're not locked, so let's do that. So okay, only if found, do this stuff, and that should work. So now you can't see the stats of them; you can only see their locations, which I think is better. Be nice if they hurry up. Yeah, that's the one thing that's unfortunate about space travel and development, is like it's such a slow process. I mean, literally, even though I'm relatively young, I'm 23, there hasn't been a whole lot that's happened in those 23 years, you know? Like, there's been a lot of satellite launches, and that, like, especially like one of the big ones was when we have ads. It's okay, you're subbed, it's fine. One of the big ones was like the satellite we sent over to, not a satellite. I guess it's a satellite. The probe we sent to Pluto is really, that was a very cool moment, because up until that point, I think it was 2015 when it arrived, the only images that we had of Pluto were these tiny little garbage images, right? And it's so cool. Back then as a kid, I'm like, whoa. Like, we actually know what this place looks like now. That was very awesome. 'Cause, like, this is all we had before, was this garbage little blurry sphere, right? So it was so wild seeing this planet for real. I was like, that's insane. That was one of the things that was like the coolest thing ever to me. So it's really cool that we all got to see that. I just think that's so epic. First Falcon Heavy double booster landing was cool to me. Yeah, that was really neat too. It's a promising thing being able to land the boosters and reuse stuff, because that's going to be very important for like the economy of space travel, you know? Because it's freaking expensive to build all those parts. So hey, most of the SpaceX rocket landing was awesome. It was pretty cool, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got opinions on stuff there, but I will say they're probably the leading private space travel company right now, right? I haven't really seen any other companies really quite do as much as they've been able to achieve. I don't know if Blue Origin has done anything that crazy. Bezos. I haven't really ever like heard of stuff they're doing. I know they are doing things, but I don't know. I don't think they've done any like crazy launches or new technology like SpaceX or NASA. I think their focus is like commercialization of space, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, the cost to access space, that's like the biggest obstacle right now. Blue Origin failed a bunch and sent some slubs. Yeah, that's the one thing I heard about. They sent some people up or whatever. I don't even know who. So that's kind of lame. But yeah, of course, NASA has been leading for a long time. They've always been doing cool stuff. By far, I think one of the biggest leaders in just exploration of the universe. Like all the probe missions and stuff, like the probe to Pluto and Cassini and all those epic stuff. Also, ads are over. I'm very sorry about that. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that's difficult about space travel as a company is like, it's one of those things where there's not a massive profit incentive to travel to space, right? And I think that's tricky. Because like sending, it can be for some things like a new satellite, or especially like what SpaceX has done with whatever it's called, Starlink. Like that can be financially profitable. But I think the thing that's difficult to commercialize is the more science-focused expeditions, like going to the moon and stuff. There's just not a lot of financial incentive to do that. And that's one of the big, like, constraints, I think. That's one of the reasons why I'm not sure if the commercialization of spaceflight is actually a good thing or not. Because, like, more competition is great. But also, like, at the same time, just the innate way companies operate is that they need to make money. So the only way they're ever going to do anything is if it's a way to exploit resources and make cash, right? And that's why I'm like a little, I don't know. So hey, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Yeah, it's a big government effort. Yeah, I think at some point there needs to be funding involved. It can't just be pure profit streams, because then I think the goals of space travel is going to be a little bit, broken. It's definitely what these private companies are going to be focusing on is like leisure stuff, like sending celebrities into space, people that are willing to spend a bunch of money just to go to space to say that they went to space. But that's not really going to be progressing us as a society, right? The things that will really enhance things is like going to the moon and all the technology that NASA's going to invent creating a moon base. That's going to be huge. So thank you very much for the follow. Like, that's the stuff I'm excited about. I don't care about the commercial stuff so far. It just seems like it's all just profit. That's all it's ever going to be. Maybe one day going to the moon will become profitable if there's infrastructure there. But hard to say. I guess advertising is an option. Put your banner up on a rocket or something on the way to the moon. That would make you some money, probably. Best case would be multi-government initiatives. Yeah. That's why like the International Space Station has been such a great thing, because it's he just said, because it's a collaborative effort with all the countries, and I think that's really cool. I think the only money is in mining asteroids. Yeah, there was a mission that NASA had scheduled a while ago to capture an asteroid and bring it into orbit around Earth, but I think that was canceled, which is too bad. See, bro, would you recommend Pygame, Unity, Godot, or Unreal Engine to start as game dev? Should I put a lot of work in the graphics? Graphics don't really matter too much. I think the most important thing above all else for video games is gameplay, because that's what people are doing and interacting with. So that should always be the number one focus with development. Graphics are good for marketing. Obviously, you want your game to look nice so that when somebody glances at it on Steam, their interest is piqued and they're like, "Ooh, this looks interesting." So there's a time and place to work on it for sure, but I think it's best to kind of push graphical work off until like you're ready to start marketing and advertising. But you definitely should start, like, especially if you haven't made games before, don't worry about the graphics so much. I think gameplay is where it's at. And yeah, in terms of engines to start with, I've really enjoyed using Godot. Godot has a very fantastic documentation. You can go in here and there's this whole section on getting started in here. Introduction, and then where is it? Getting started. This whole tab. Very good documentation in here. It goes through all the stuff. And I even saw in here last time we were looking at this, there's also a like learn to code the GD script here. Just this completely free course that you can work through and learn how to use Godot. You can select the lesson you want. This was also made in Godot, which is really cool. But yeah, if you've never programmed before, there's this whole introduction course thing here for Godot. Very, very neat. It's a very it's awesome that that's just free to access. Doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, personally, I would say Godot, having resources and stuff like that, would probably be one of the easiest to learn, especially since the language is also very easy. It's similar to Python. It's not that Pygame, Unity, or Unreal are bad, but I think those are best kind of eased into once you already understand programming and a little bit of game development. If you're starting from nothing, I think Godot is probably a lot easier, in my opinion. But all the others are valid too. It just depends on what you want. Game has to be fun first, always. Yes. Man, helped a lot. Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. Yeah, let me know if you ever have any questions about anything like that. Happy to answer. Being able to build infrastructure before humans get there will be a cool thing. Yeah. I think NASA's planning on that a little bit. I know with some of the Artemis missions, I think they're dropping down supplies to build things. Yeah, I think NASA's got it on lock in terms of like what needs to be done. I know going to Mars would be a really cool thing, and eventually they will, but I think them establishing a base on the moon first is going to be a really important thing. Because it takes a lot of energy to leave the Earth. Because Earth, compared to all these other bodies we're visiting, has a lot of gravity. You know, Earth is 1G. The moon has like a tenth or whatever of the gravity on Earth. I don't remember the exact amount. But it's so much easier to send supplies to the moon and then refuel on the moon and then go from the moon to Mars, because you don't have to get over that massive requirement for gravity. So that's the play. Also, I think you set up there somewhere as a fencer. Yeah, like we got to embrace nuclear. That's another big thing. Nuclear drives for rocket ships would be massive for space travel because they're so efficient. Maybe eventually we'll stop being afraid of uranium again. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, just keep yapping. Apologize if nobody wants to hear the space stuff in here. But it's cool stuff to talk about, though. Yeah. One of the things I always thought would be really cool like as a career prospect is being an astronaut, but I don't know. It's extremely competitive. And also I probably just wouldn't be eligible. I have things that would disqualify me. I'm probably a little bit too tall. I know they do have some like height restrictions. Also I'd have to join the military. Well, that's only if I want to be a pilot. I don't know. Would be cool though. Just kind of looking at this menu, thinking if there's anything else we need to do here. I mean, I think it's at a good spot. I do want to reset what fish is selected in here if you go out of the menu, I think. So let's add code for that. So right now in set info, we can just say like if fish ID else do this. This will let us just reset everything. So it should be pretty easy. We just we'll grab these references globally here. Not globally, but global to the function we're in. So we're just going to reset the texture and the label. So we're going to say texture dot texture is null and label. Oops, not null, empty string. Actually, we need to reset it back to whatever it says. Select a fish. Let's see if that works. So then what I want to do is whenever we leave this menu, and I don't know if we have changed anywhere. Nope. So we're going to add that. Super. They canceled the Lunar Gateway. Was that their plan for, I'm trying to remember. I know I've heard that before. For doing the Mars or Moon to Mars pipeline. Did they cancel that? I thought they were still building a base on the moon. Let's see. So I want to say if status, or just if not status. The moon space station? Did they do that recently? I thought they were still doing that. Then what's the whole point of all the Artemis stuff? They cancel all of that? Okay, we're gonna say set info null. Or we'll just do an empty string. Oh, moon. Oh, the space station. Ah. Sorry, I'm a fool. Yeah. Right, that's what they were gonna do with that. Yeah, and I think they were gonna dock with that. That was one of the... Yeah, okay. I totally forgot. Yeah, I remember hearing about that being canceled, which is unfortunate. But I get part of the reason they would cancel it. One of the things is like... It's kind of like... I guess why would you need to have a space station above the moon since it's so easy to land on the moon? Seems like you might as well just go for the surface instead of the orbit. Because it's a lot easier to, like, you don't have to maintain orbit. It would be slightly less fuel used leaving the gateway instead of the surface of the moon, but I don't think it's really that much energy to leave the surface, relatively speaking. Okay, so if I click on a fish and then I go out of it and go back in, yeah, now it starts at the default state where it just says select a fish. Cool. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is whenever we've unlocked a new fish, I need to like connect these buttons up to a signal. So let's go do that. And we do that in add fish. So we say right here, found fish, and then I'm going to say fish found dot emit. Oops. And there's going to be another signal way up here somewhere. And I might just pass an ID with this. Sure. Why not? Okay, so now we can connect that up in here because I want to update these buttons whenever they a new fish has been acquired. Right? So Fishpedia button, we're going to go into the script. I'm just going to say on ready. Technically it's supposed to be reusable surface to orbit and... okay, to orbit and back. Yeah, lander system on it. Okay. Yeah, oh well. It's unfortunate. That's also what happens when you cut the budget by like 40% or whatever it was. That's insane. That's a huge budget cut. The one that just happened. That seems ridiculous. I can't remember, did it actually go through or not? Because I know it has to be approved by Congress, I think. Yeah, 46%. It's so unfortunate. We spend $1 trillion a year on military, but we can't spare a fraction of that for NASA. That's always been one of the most frustrating things ever. I mean, we should be giving NASA like at least like a $50 billion budget. That would be pretty nice. Was that announced? It was announced during like a couple days ago on during the mission to the moon, which is stupid. That's like the weirdest. Like the mission is going well and everything is great. Now's the time to cut the budget. I don't. Oh, it's dumb. Yeah, I would cut the 2027 budget. 47%. They might have tweaked it. I'm looking here and it looks like it might now be 23% instead of 47% or 46%. Unless I am mistaken. I don't know. I'd have to spend time to look at all the updated stuff. That was yeah, the phone call. That was it was announced before the phone call. So I watched that live. It was an awkward moment. I'm like, oh man. Let's see. I'm gonna check here. I'd be surprised if he ups it after that stunt. Yeah. I don't know. Funny because I could totally imagine being in that situation of just waiting for the next response and then let's see. So I want to update this button with all the info in here. I only need to update whether it's locked or not. So whenever a fish has been found... Oh yeah, because on ready we don't care. So this is only to update it live. So I'm just gonna say function check locked or whatever, right? So let's try that. Skip that part. You didn't really miss anything. Don't worry. Yeah. It's just the usual spiel. All right, so check locked. Oh yeah, then this has to have a fish ID passed in. I guess I do need to keep track of what this button's fish ID is. So var fish ID string. Then I'm just gonna say a fish ID. I'll say a check ID. Then go ahead and update it. So we know that it becomes unlocked. So all we have to do here, if we go into here, just say text dot set instance shader parameter on to false. Okay. That should be it. Also, I'm going to add in a new command now so that I can test this easier. So we're going to go in here, say, reset found. And all this is going to do is say global.foundFish is equal to an empty array. Okay, so it'll do that. And the next thing is whenever a new fish has been discovered, I want the button to start shining. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I have to think about how that's going to work, because I need to keep track of which ones have been selected or not. I don't really want to have another array to keep track of that, because that would be a little annoying. How would I do that? Yeah, just stat track up each catch. Just trying to think how I want to do this. It's actually a very good point. I might want to keep track of how many people have caught of a particular fish. So I might actually change our fish found thing into a different like format. Or found fish. So I might change this into caught fish. And then this might actually be an array of, or a dictionary of strings with an int for how many. Oh, what? Oh yeah, that's a different thing. Forgot I already made a variable name that. I'll just say caught fish amounts. Caught fish quantity. Quantities, because it's multiple fish. And then down here with found fish, so I'm going to say it doesn't have it. Otherwise, if it does have it, I'm not going to emit the signal, but I will still increment it. So then we say caught fish quantity is at index fish ID is equal to 1. And then over here, it's just equal to plus equals 1. Okay, then here, this is now going to be caught fish quantities. Okay, fix this one. I think that should work now. There might be a couple spots where, well, like has and stuff should still work the exact same with the dictionary, so I don't think anything will actually break because of this. Let's try it out. Oh, right, this is gonna die for a minute because it saved a variable that wasn't set to anything, so it's null. Let's just wait for it to load and then uncomment it. Okay, so it did actually... Oh, so you might not have access property or key found fish. Oh, right, I need to rename it now. Everything used to be called found fish. Let's go fix that. Caught fish quantities. Was it literally that? Wait, is that the only one? It can't be. Oh, there's one there. And then this one now needs to change. I'll say global dot caught fish quantities. Change it to reset caught. Okay, let's try this again. So I should be able to keep track of how many we've caught now of each one. maybe that even ties into other stuff eventually. God dang it. Stop. Was I saving the wrong variable or something? No, because it should just set a default. It's because it couldn't load in a funny little variable. Let's try it again. It's because I have to save it first before it, otherwise it just keeps dying over and over. Okay, now I can uncomment now that the game isn't crashed. So everything still should work the exact same. Now I'm just keeping track of how many of these fish have been caught. So if I go back into here now, I do have to actually fix where I run that check for when a fish has been caught, because I realize I'm doing it in a spot where it's not when you actually catch the fish. Because like if you take a fish out of your tank and then do it in here, it'll think that you caught another one. So I have to fix that. But yeah, it works though. So now we have track of all that stuff. Yeah, that's fine. And then it fixes the need to update that button live then, because it's only on the moment when you actually come back in. So should be okay. I'll just actually go delete all that extra stuff that I added, because I don't even need it anymore. So this and then all this, I don't care anymore. All right. And then the last thing that we need to do is go into where we set up that code to add a fish. That's not where we want to do this. Because add fish is not the same thing as catching a fish for the first time. So we want to go into like region, fishing region, where we add the fish to our list, and that's where we do it. So it's down in here somewhere. I say add fish. Right here, fish success. Wait a minute. Oh no, that's the temporary array, so that one doesn't matter. And then we say global.fish found. Because caught fish quantities, I do have to have two separate like data types for this. This is like a temporary, just a fish that you caught for a region. And then this is like a permanent value here. I did put this in save game data, right? Not user data. Okay, yeah, just making sure. And I did that in load game data too, right? Yeah, okay. Let's go try this again. So yeah, I'm just going to ignore that one slim temporary issue. It's actually impossible for that issue to ever happen again. Because like right now, if you have a fish already in your tank, you must have caught it in the past, right? So I'm not going to worry about that. I'll just make people have to kind of redo the Fishpedia. Because it's never going to happen again in the future. I'm not going to add in a code to check for that one case, because it's just, yeah. It's extra logic and performance that won't matter ever again. I typically never worry about stuff like that, like the same as Starground. Like, it's technically a minor little bug, but it's like a bug that will die one day. You know what I mean? It's a temporary bug. Another bluegill? Are you kidding me? Yeah, this has got to be the one. Oh my god. Literally give me something other than a bluegill. Give me a minnow right now. Oh my god. Frickin' hate this game, guys. What are the odds of getting that many in a row? Okay, it's okay. It turned the luck backwards, and now I got the rare fish. That's okay. All right, cool. So yeah, this works. I guess we're pretty much done with the Fishpedia then. Not really much else to do. All I do want to do more visual changes to the theme, because right now our scroll bar is like the smooth variant. Same with the tab bars and stuff. I need to go through and do those. So we'll get around to that eventually. But anyways, yeah. I think that's it for today then, since we got everything done. And I have to go eat dinner. But anyways, yeah. Thank you everybody for yapping. Thank you everybody for coming into the stream. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll push all these changes pretty soon. Yeah, I'm gonna add the quantity catch stat into that little info panel, so everyone will see how many they've caught before. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. I mean, why not? So seems like a nice thing to be able to view. How are you in here, Hypnotic, if you're streaming? All right, we can read Hypnotic. All right, but yeah, thank you everybody so far with the playtest stuff for, you know, all the feedback and bug reports and stuff. It's been extremely helpful. And because of all of your support, I've already been able to fix a bunch of things, so keep it up. Let me know if anybody runs into any problems or anything, no matter how small. And the game's a playtest right now, so like things are open to change, like big, vast, sweeping change. So if there's something that you think needs to be different or removed or anything, speak up. But yeah, we're gonna go start this raid. Yeah, we'll be live again tomorrow, 3:30 MDT. Thank you everybody for coming in. Learn and playtest is available now, so feel free to sign up and try it out. Join the Discord if you want. Buy Starground if you want. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you everybody. I'll see all of you tomorrow. Bye everybody. Bye bye.